a lot in common.
100.
Yeah. Now this is where
100.
I'm part of neither ethnic group. Yeah, obviously. I don't rate that at all, bro.
You don't rate what?
A separationist policy, personally. I think it's deeply racist. White people want everyone else to separate from them, and black people want the same.
Content over everything.
I personally believe that's a racist policy.
Well, from both ends.
Personally, yeah.
Because the thing is,
I want to bring it back to the original point.
Okay, yeah, let me not take it somewhere else.
Go on, Raven. Go on, Raven.
Let me not bogart. Do.
Go on.
Okay. Now, your point was that Malcolm X made as much influence or even helped Luther King. I don't see how, if for most of his public career, he advocated separationism. And a separatist
Right, so
policy.
let's go to the core. Should we go to the core on that first?
So if we all agree that politicizing parts of the black community helped because they could vote in the people that they wanted. That's why there's a lot more black mayors. Now, you might criticize that, but nevertheless, it's a step of improvement in post-civil rights. Bro, I'm not even going to, that's up to you. Yeah? But I'm looking at it objectively. These are the concrete, objective changes that have happened, right? Under Malcolm X's thing, that wouldn't have occurred. And let's be honest, what did come from Malcolm X's separationist policies? Nothing.
Nothing was.
When you say nothing, what do you mean by nothing?
Let me just finish with this to make that more succinct. Look at all the civil rights activists, or any other activists who fought within the political system, as limited and as biased as it is. Look at what they achieved, and then look at what Malcolm X achieved, and it's lopsided.
Okay, I just want to make
in terms of concrete. I mean, don't get me wrong.
What they achieved in this current society.
Concrete.
Right.
I would say.
Go on, bring it.
I say Malcolm X. If you were one of those black people who heard Malcolm X's message and was moved by it,
A separationist one.
1 second, you're saying a separationist one. I'm saying to you that you could get one. 1 second, please. Let's have some one order here. If that brings you to and your community upwards,
Yes.
and that betterment has happened as a result of that.
Yeah. Good.
I'm saying that has had a positive impact. Now, your issue is with the separationism. My point I'd make to that is separation hasn't happened as a result
I never
of
said
this.
Malcolm X
What
didn't
has
have a
happened as a
positive
result of
impact.
it is a black betterment and black upliftment amongst a huge group. And the point that I made was, in context to Martin Luther King, whilst he was doing his peaceful movement, the powers that be were very conscious that Malcolm X was doing another not so peaceful movement. And I'm saying that if we're going to give props to one, we should probably give props to the other, because it wasn't just one that achieved it.
But let me ask you
a combination of both.
But let me ask you a question.
I agree with all that.
Let me ask you
My point was,
but let me ask
you
you
look at the concrete achievements of the civil rights movement. You can see them. You can see how they influenced the American state. Like I said, we can disagree about how important that change was.
What if there's a medium?
My point is, it's proof of if a minority becomes politically involved and politically active, they can change things for their community. And the truth is, bro, I'm sorry, standing on a black platform don't work in a multiracial country. That's the thing.
What does that mean?
Hang on.
Martin Luther King was like, oh look, I'm doing this for black people, but it's also for the poor people, those who are disenfranchised by the political.
No, but hang on. Okay, but hang on. You can't.
Bro, Black Panther brought the name off of Black
Hang on, you can't. Okay, sorry. But you can't. I tell you why that might not work. Because in a multicultural country, like you say, in a multiracial, remember I'm talking about social economics. That's what I'm talking about. Within the multiracial or multicultural country, we do find, that it's the black people that occupy the bottom of that social economic ladder.
Yes.
Right. So while the multiculturalism seems to be working, hang on.
Never said that.
Oh, you never said it, so you don't think it works?
You're talking about multiculturalism as what? A sort of large amount of social things like immigration policy, integrated communities.
Sorry, bro.
My point was politics. My point is politics. Tell me someone who stood on a black platform and got anywhere, even in the black community. See what I'm saying? Martin Luther King didn't stand on he was never politically active in his whole life.
Marcus Garvey did?
Marcus Garvey
Okay.
massively.
In fact, okay, fine. We can look at, I believe the first African American into Congress was 1864. Think about that. This guy was the first guy, and he thought, I'm going to influence it. Now, are you going to criticize that man's maybe lack of achievement within the political sphere? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Bro. And the same way I look at the
That
first
must have
Native
been a very hard
American-
thing to do.
Exactly. So that's my whole perspective. These people politically active within the democratic political machine of the country.
Let Raven jump in.
Yeah.
So what was?
But do you see what I'm saying?
I see
Hope
what you're
that makes
saying.
sense. I don't want to be taken out of
No,
context.
I'm hearing you. I'm saying.
I think I overheard you saying that Malcolm X wasn't effective. You're saying, right?
As effective as the civil rights movement. I mean, let's be honest here. If you was there at the time, no matter your color, but being black maybe would have given you an incentive to care more. If you saw the civil rights movement, which is amassing a large amount of people to march on DC, to have politicians sit down, listen.
So-
Last point. Sorry, I don't mean to talk so much. They're talking about signing bills to push through, and then you got this guy Malcolm X talking about why is this guy working with these white politicians? He's a house, whatever. Bro, I see that as that is not solidarity.
Well, I agree. No, we all
That's
agree
my
with that.
point.
We agree with that. Yeah.
Before he turned to Islam.
Yeah.
But
4 months of his life.
Don't bring the Islamic argument into it, bro. Don't do that, bro. Like,
Let's keep on.
Bro, I've read up. That's my point.
Are we gonna have?
Before he
Can you
died.
let Raven talk?
You don't know. Look, bro, I'm
Raven
saying
speak. Don't respond to it.
yeah.
5
One
seconds.
order.
I don't
One
want
order.
5 seconds.
We'll let him come back
5
in.
seconds. Just 5 seconds.
We'll let him go one way
You have
in.
to understand historical context, right? So when you talk
You
about,
always say that.
well, you have to.
No, but you do. You do.
Yeah. So hold on, friend of mine. So when you're saying that, oh, this is racist when they do it, this is racist when they do it, you don't understand that everything black people were doing then was reacting to
Reacting,
racism.
yeah.
Sure. It's when they said they came together. You know
Yeah,
what? I hate
just
the white
wake up.
sector. Yeah. It wasn't like that.
Start
innit?
doing
Yeah.
I agree.
crazy
Yeah.
shit.
So when they talk about being separate, they're saying let them come together.
Martin
Let
Luther
them.
King didn't talk about being separate. That's my point. It's
but
about
we're
whose
talking-
politics
we're talking about
you
Malcolm X.
sort of
Yeah,
I mean,
aspire
towards the
to
end of
more.
Martin Luther King's
Yeah,
life,
he
he
said,
did.
yeah,
He started talking about I have fear of integrating my people into a
Yeah,
burning
we know
building.
this, yeah.
That's
So
Harry
we know he
Belafonte.
was starting to have some.
But hold on. The Nation of Islam, they practice a group economics plan, yeah, that was successful and worked. Yeah, they had their own businesses. Yeah, that is some inspiration. Now they're doing that when the whole of the American government is against them. Yeah, and not only the American government, black people were against it. Yeah, you think when they came up with this message, black people were like, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Most people at that time couldn't stand the Nation of Islam, really, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, here are people, they're seeking betterment. Are they to seek it from the people who dislike them or from their own group? What makes more sense?
I hear that, bro.
There you go.
I mean,
So
I
that's
hear
what
that.
we're talking about. So you have to understand the historical
What was wrong with
context.
what I said? I guess.
Well, you're
No,
talking about racism.
where have I missed
But you were talking about racism.
For me, I tell you what.
And I'm saying they were reacting to racism.
Come on, Raven. I get why
You
it
understand?
occurred. If I ask you now,
No.
would you vote for someone who stood on a separationist policy? And
No,
if you,
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
Raven,
but that's my point, isn't
Are
it?
we going to expand the circle?
Like Malcolm X is a very interesting person, and he did do a lot. But
Yeah.
my point is that politically, he's null and void.
In
He's just as null and void.
In today's society, he's null and void.
Yeah,
There's no need for a separatist.
But you're ignoring
Sorry,
historical
ideology.
context.
No, I'm not.
Why would
But come on, man.
But I'm saying
Times
you are.
change.
No, but
if you're still clinging on to this Malcolm X separationist thing into
Well,
this day and age,
But we haven't gone anywhere.
okay.
No, but listen. Listen.
That's fine.
Is that what this is about?
But he already said he wouldn't vote for a separationist policy now.
So,
And that's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
But let me give
We
you.
all know
but
that
let
it's
me
not
give you-
conducive.
Sarah doesn't speak for all Pan
Of
Africans.
course. But let me give you what I would say.
But as an example,
But let me give you what I. But let me. I'm not for separatism. Yeah. I tell you what I'm for. I am for people being able to determine themselves with their own people for their own people. That's what I'm about. Now, I personally believe a country should have. This is my own personal belief. Should have at least 15% of non-indigenous population in there. Why? Why? So you can understand other human beings in the way they do stuff. Because for me, I'm always about, I ain't got time to be starting a hate campaign. Yeah? And what happens with a lot of the time, people start to hate other groups. I'm saying, listen, all of that energy you're talking about hating another group with, you could be taking that energy and doing something else to help your people. I don't hate anyone, but what I will say, this guy, man, I don't hate anyone, but what I will say is, yeah, everyone needs to do for their own first. That's just my personal thing. That's fine. Right? It's just my personal thing. But I'm not about separating because you need to trade with either China or Japan or America. There's no separation.
We go deep in that. Yeah, it's like you have to understand, meet them where they are, right? Black people are not in the condition to have all this kind of whimsical thinking. It's like like you said, everywhere you go, at the bottom, you tend to find people of black collective Afro descent, right? Yeah.
but I don't see how people
And
like
there's a
Martin Luther
historical
King
reason
were
for it.
whimsical.
No, I'm not saying he was. What I'm saying,
So what's whimsical? What part of what I said was whimsical?
so remember, I'm referring.
I think there's a happy medium between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, personally.
I jump in at the comment you made, right?
A medium to find between Martin Luther King.
No doubt.
You were comparing
But the
KKK to
truth
the
is,
Nation of
Martin
Islam,
Luther
right?
King didn't like try to impede other movements. Malcolm X and Nation of Islam actively tried to impede. They tried to stop you from going on marches. That's my point.
With Martin Luther King, you mean?
Yeah,
Right,
they're like,
okay,
don't, bro.
okay.
They called it coonery.
Yeah.
Don't. Why work with these people?
Yeah.
They've historically oppressed you. Come over here, separate. I don't rate that.
But as Raven says, if you look at it historically, in
Are you not looking at the historical context?
think about the time, though. What's your name again, bro?
Darren,
think about the time they were living in, though.
I hear that.
People were being lynched,
I don't
bro.
think you were thinking about the
people
time.
are actually
What
being
about Martin
killed
Luther King?
in the streets. So obviously,
he thought about
Okay,
these
so
things as well.
let's get one order. Hold on.
Do you understand the point?
I don't.
It's not like it was
We are
just
pretty
Malcolm
open,
X.
fam.
He was in a minority of
We
society.
disagree.
but
It's the
about the
language.
time. I'm not saying what they done was correct. I'm saying
One time.
Sorry, I'm saying
One
due to what was going on at the time, this is the policy that they came up with.
Yeah.
And whether or not, right or wrong, looking at it now, I'm
Yeah.
saying the reason why they came up with it is because that time they were catching hell, bro.
I hear that.
So I totally understand,
So-
though I may not be like, yeah, let's do the same thing again, but I understand exactly why they did it like
Shall we
that.
give examples, right? So what I'm saying
Understanding
is-
the time then, we can see how different black or minority groups reacted differently. Malcolm X reacted with a separationist policy,
yeah.
and Martin Luther King didn't.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And it depends on what you could take from that into the present day. Now, Malcolm X has left a legacy. In my opinion, it's been blown out of proportion by certain people.
I think it's been
take
undermined.
Take this.
Heavily undermined. Heavily
Martin
undermined.
Luther King has been blown out of
I think
proportion.
the
I think it's
opposite
complete
is true.
opposite.
We all believe the opposite.
Complete
is true.
opposite.
Hands down.
Complete opposite.
Hands down. Here's what it is, right?
Wait.
Go ahead. You said make a lot of points, bro.
Yeah, you
Go
made a lot of
on.
points, please.
Yeah, come on.
Let's look at the Nation of Islam after Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Membership shot through the roof.
Right.
And why? Because Louis Farrakhan got more and more extreme. In the
No, they
80s,
lost, they
he
lost,
went,
they
he
lost.
went,
They
no,
lost.
no, they didn't. In 85, it was like the peak of membership.
No,
bro.
do you know what it was?
Shaka Khan was performing on stage.
Shall we give context?
No,
No, you don't like context?
Are we talking about?
If you don't like context, I understand.
I can agree with you. No joke.
Yeah?
No joke.
Do you know why?
No
Because before that, they lost members.
Hashtag
because they
Sarah
converted-
on tour 2019.
They lost members because they converted. They tried to get people to Sunni Islam, and there was a divide there, right?
Yeah, sure.
So Farrakhan came back to get the people back.
Yeah. And how did he do it?
Well, by going back to the original message.
No, come on, let's be honest. He said things more racist than Malcolm X ever said.
Like
and
what?
that seemed.
Give me an
Like the
example.
white man is the devil.
No, he did
Give me
not.
an example. Although you made the
Come on,
claim,
let's
give
be
me an
honest,
example.
bro. He
like
called
Jews
Judaism
very
a
much.
gutter religion.
Give me an example
You know,
so we can say yeah and nay.
He did say the white man is the devil, though.
Are you trying to deny that Louis Farrakhan
He did
has
say that.
said?
He did say that, though.
Let's be honest.
Some extreme things.
Yeah, he did say that.
He did say the white man is the devil, though. He did.
Sure, okay, we'll take that, take anything.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, he was more extreme than Malcolm X. There's no doubt about it. I shouldn't even have to.
Farrakhan?
Yeah, I shouldn't even have to stand here and argue that.
I mean,
Everyone
what's the
knows
point?
that, bro. Everyone.
Against you.
I never. So the point is, he got less and less like worldwide publicity, but the membership grew. I'm sorry, bro, because people. Look, man, racism grows out of ignorance, and if you look at all communities of ignorance, all like communities that have been underfunded, etc., yeah, they react with racism, whether it's the white or the black communities.
So,
And you can see
do you
how
want to take the context?
a lot of the racists
Outside of
flock
name
towards
calling.
Farrakhan.
Outside name calling, let's talk about the context. Yeah. The context of the
We need
situation.
to define that racism word. We need to define that racism word, though. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Let's just go quick, right?
too far,
Yeah.
I personally believe that's
Outside of name calling, how did the Nation of Islam mistreat non-black people?
mistreat.
Outside of name calling, how did the Nation of Islam mistreat non-black people?
But by asking that, you're sort of saying that you don't believe that Louis Farrakhan ever said anything that would be
He said
considered
he has said.
No.
He said
Outside
of saying
of name
things.
calling,
Outside of
what, so it's like
verbally.
this, yeah? It's like this.
Is race prejudice the same as racism?
Okay, hold on. So
I'll give you a good question. I don't know the answer yet.
I just heard what he said. Name calling.
Outside
So
name
you don't
calling.
want to talk about the things that he said, basically.
No, we can talk about
Listen,
that.
But that's what I'm
even
talking
if he
about.
says that
Aside
all
from that.
people
So
are
you're talking
evil
about what
demons.
material things he
What's your name?
said.
What's your name, Darren?
Darren.
What's my name, Darren?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm going somewhere. What's your name, Darren? Darren is a whatever. I'll put an X there. I'll say Darren is an X. Darren is an X. Darren is a this. Is a bastard. Is a that. I can use any word. It's name calling. You're gonna go home today. You're gonna go home to your peoples. You're gonna be just fine. You know that, right? You do know that, right? I just called you a name, bro. I'm just saying, I just called you a name, bro.
I see.
I just called you a name.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
Darren, you're a bastard.
Different.
Totally different, bro.
Yeah.
Totally different. I can call you a name, but what's in a name? I ain't adversely impacting your life right now with those names.
Now,
you're gonna go home
What have
and be
we
just fine.
highlighted? What have we highlighted? That there's a
I'm just
special-
saying.
But before you, there's always been a special bias that's limited towards black people when it comes to name calling and stuff like that, right? It's like everyone else can oppress you economically, kill you, and so forth. But when black people say, when they react to that death, when they react to that pain, it's like, look at them, look at those racists. They said that they don't like those people. Oh, what have they done for them?
But hang on a minute, but Darren, I'm trying to. We're trying to explain. We're trying to explain.
This is the fact.
We're trying to explain. Now, Darren,
What's the question then?
we're trying to explain.
The
You know what I'm
question
saying?
was-
Like I said, me and you can have a disagreement, yeah, and I'm not plotting and screaming. Now, I'm not saying that what I said wasn't prejudiced towards Darren. I'm not saying that. It was very bad what I said. I shouldn't really call you names. However, after me calling you names, Darren, you're all right, bro. You're actually all right. I'm just saying. But what happened with? So what happened? So what happened? You see, when I stabbed you and I choked you, what you did, or what your people didn't say, fuck those Sarah Garvey guys. He's the devil. He's the devil. And I'm like, that's all your family could do. They could just call me names. That's all they could do. They couldn't adversely impact my life because I'm in a power position. You can't do shit to me. You can just call me names. So fuck your names, mate. I'm still gonna go and make billions over here.
It might just
You know
be a
what I'm
difference of opinion between us.
Hold
your laughter in. Come on.
People, I've actually got to roll out.
Our family
I'm gonna let you lot continue.
I find it entertaining.
But I'm sure. I hope you get it though. I hope you get
I
it.
think he cooked on the head there, bro.
I'll respond to that in his
Hashtag
absence.
Sarah on tour 2019.
Okay, fair enough.
No, honestly, it might be a disagreement because I don't fuck with racism in any form, and even.
So wait, hold on. What is racism?
But this is enough for me, bro. This really is enough for me. Like,
is
if
racism?
men are name calling, you might.
No, what's the actual
I think you might
definition of
trivialize it.
No.
We have a historic
Please let him ask the question though.
at night and hanging them on trees.
Bro, you're talking. Look, man, I hear it. I'm not. Look, don't try and paint me into some slavery denier. Yeah?
No,
I ain't gonna have that.
No, forget the slavery denier.
I'm saying, look at Louis Farrakhan and the things he said. Do you agree with them? No, I don't, because I think they're racist.
Do you understand the context?
Now, if you don't believe they're racist, fine. But you need to at least meet me halfway and say, bro, the shit he said ain't gonna help black people. Insulting Jews and stuff.
How many of us go around and mention people? That's all I'm asking you. How many of
I don't
us?
even know what that means. I'm not even talking about that, man. I'm talking about.
You need to use that energy you're using, okay, to try and...
You don't like. Look, I'm criticizing Louis Farrakhan. I'm criticizing Louis Farrakhan.
One at a time.
I'm criticizing the situation in Libya right now.
One at a time. Let's
I don't think. I agree.
Come on,
man.
yeah,
I
you
agree with
agree,
you.
man.
I don't think it's necessary for black people to give non-black people that kind of energy. I agree. I don't think it's necessary at all. I think it could be better spread elsewhere. But the thing is, I understand. I'm sympathetic because I understand that that's what pain does. When you kill, rape, and you marginalize and just brutalize the people, you're not going to get flowers. You're not going to get chocolates. You're going to get harsh words. But what do we know? The Nation of Islam hasn't killed anyone. They haven't killed anyone. They haven't gone on any marches killing anyone. But they have been the victims of brutality. Yeah? So I'm saying is, yes, some of them are going to complain and they're going to say horrible words. But outside of horrible words, what have they done?
Any media outlets?
I hear you, but
By any chance?
say that again.
Black people, do we control any media outlets by any chance? Like, are we physically a voice? Do we control the media in any shape?
Go on. Why are you saying that?
So who controls our narrative? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. How powerful are we?
I've seen your conversation.
Okay, can we go back to what we were saying? So now, you give me historical context, and I agree with it.
Thank you.
And then you say, well, because of the historical context, people like Farrakhan react like this.
Yes.
Fine. Then I'll say, let's take the historical context and look how Martin Luther King reacted. Jesse Jackson, a number of civil rights activists. Go on.
And for
Bro,
me,
Jesse
Jesse
You see what I'm saying?
Wait.
But I I've hardly said anything. Yeah? The truth is, there's far more defense of come on, man, of people like Louis Farrakhan than there is of Martin Luther King.
Of course.
Why?
We understand why.
Answer why.
Why? Because Martin Luther King, Malcolm X was about black empowerment. As in black people have their own interests at heart.
Yeah, separation.
No, forget that. No. Let me explain. Let me explain. As in, forget separate.
It's part of it.
I'm going to tell you something. It's putting black people's needs first. So that could be integration or separation. And when they reviewed the data, they realised that it's better to have a Black Wall Street and a Negro Leagues than it is to incorporate into someone else's where they're paying you. So, for example, when you have Colin Kaepernick saying, "I want black people to stop dying," what happens? He gets fired because black people don't control that industry. So what Malcolm X is saying is, now if we control our own football, then when you want to defend black people from being killed, we're not going to fire you. You see, because that's putting your own interest first. That's why in that time integration didn't work, and we know it didn't work.
What does that have to do with like the name calling,
I apologise for the name calling.
I'm not asking for an apology.
Okay,
I'm asking for why there's a huge defense of it.
Okay.
I mean, I can go to any minority and really grill them on the bad aspects of it, and 9 times out of 10 they'll defend it. And that can't be conducive.
With name calling. How we know this? Because when I'm here, I said we shouldn't name call. Okay.
So I feel like we're coming to the same conclusion that we did on hip hop. I invite you to condemn certain elements which you don't want to condemn.
Listen,
I don't condemn Malcolm X, but I certainly condemn.
I do not agree with name calling, but I understand when someone has been raped, killed, stabbed, and enslaved, they might say some horrible words.
And you also understand when a black activist doesn't take that route.
I do not look at the victim. I look at the victim. You hear this? I don't look at the victim.
That's where I'm coming from.
Darren, I don't look at the victim. I look at the victimizer. So you shouldn't say these horrible words, but you shouldn't rape him, you shouldn't kill him, you shouldn't enslave him.
There we go.
So after I've dealt with them, then I say naughty. But they're the prime. There's the second.
I hear that. But I mean, within that, I don't see where you've left space for criticism of people like Louis Farrakhan.
Okay.
Look, the thing is, okay.
Now,
there's an element of defense in that, though. Do you see what I'm saying?
Shall we define the names? So you're saying he says things like white devil, right? Yeah.
For example.
Now I don't agree with that. So first of all, this whole devil thing, it's hard to actually break down what a person means. But let's say.
Let me just clarify. Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan, and I guess Malcolm X, believe that white people are a mutant species that were created. I don't know, off a graft of skin, I believe. That's what he said. You can Google that, by the way. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Do you see where I'm coming from? Bro?
Now let me ask this, right? Let me ask this.
Where would you defend this?
I'm going to tell you, right? So if you have a people, right? They're in the community. And all they ever see, is oppression from one community.
I know.
But what I'm saying makes sense.
Because the thing
That's why I have to get to the
keep saying to us, and I don't think you're trying to understand us.
No, I do.
Let me land. Because my thing is, I can understand your point, and we both accept your point, that the name calling is bad. The point that we're trying to make is the name calling is an issue, and we should take it away, and we'd agree that if we had a chance to talk to Farrakhan, we'd probably say to him, keep focusing on the black empowerment, maybe focus less on the name calling, right? However, what we would say is there's a context and a history into the development of this language. And in understanding that,
I hear that.
We're trying to focus mostly on the victimizer than on the victims.
Sure.
If the victims are just trying to get the foot off their neck, why we get angry at them for however they decide to get the foot off their neck?
Because many black people were angry at them.
Okay, so that's your point.
Said, the Nation of Islam wasn't liked by many black people for one reason or another. The main point I have to keep coming back to is that, yes, in spite of the historical context, or not even in spite of, taking into account the historical context, not everyone reacts like Farrakhan.
That's true.
He's an extremist racist.
I mean, you say he's an extremist racist.
That's my position.
That's your opinion.
I personally believe that if someone stands on a platform of separationism, anti-Jews, all that madness about skin graft,
there was no anti-Jews.
There wasn't.
Fine, calling Judaism a god religion is one thing.
He's
You see
already
people in this
clarified.
park call people's religions.
hold on.
He said that. He said that.
He already confirmed, yeah.
He said that.
But he confirmed what he meant, right? The thing is, someone like Farrakhan doesn't even.
bro,
I'm telling you
I
something
feel like
you
you're
don't
moving the
listen.
goalposts.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to enlighten you, but you don't want to be enlightened.
Tell me.
Okay.
I've heard it from him as well.
Well,
but go
good.
on.
Yeah, well, that's interesting that you've heard it, but you still move your way.
Because he's, come on,
Listen,
he regretted that he said it, bro.
on. You've just said that
He
this
got
man.
grilled.
You just said that this man says horrible things, and every single Nation of Islam person I see, they don't care what people think about it. That's what I get for them, right? So if they said you made fun of Judaism, you go, yeah, I did. But he said, listen, he was talking about when people confess to have a religion, but they're practicing a gutter religion. So gutter Islam, gutter Judaism, gutter Christianity. That's what he said.
He said Judaism, though, I think.
But it doesn't matter.
I've heard exactly when he
Within
said
the context.
that.
Anyway.
And besides, that was one of
Anyway.
many. Like, I mean, look, man, that's the thing. I feel like I shouldn't even have to be here to list the things that Louis Farrakhan has said that's offensive to everyone that's not black, basically.
No,
Do
the
you
thing
know
is,
what I'm
you
saying?
haven't come with any concrete stuff. That's the issue.
Oh, but
don't think you
that's
have.
the thing. I don't even feel I need to tell you.
And that's your issue.
We all know
That's your
that.
issue.
Because
the issue is
do
you're
you
thinking too
honestly
much.
believe that
You're
Louis-
thinking, not doing.
No,
Come on,
Raven.
bro.
Do you really think
I
that
said
Louis
give me
Farrakhan
example.
never said this? That,
Listen.
Come on, man.
Listen,
like
listen.
that's what I'm saying.
All I said,
And-
if he came and said all white people are stupid and dumb, then say that, and we'll say he shouldn't have said that. But you said the gut religion, and he's on many YouTube channels saying what he meant. Yeah.
So there's a clarification for that.
Yeah.
What I mean.
But you don't
But
care.
you see how
'Cause
easy you
don't
are to accept, like, the diction that comes out of this man's mouth. If he gives you this
Easy to accept
clip-
what?
I mean, come on, man. Like,
What? What do you mean?
An explanation.
I just feel like he's so easily accepted by people. I
That-
mean, he's clearly,
that-
like I said, looking at the historical
you know why?
context.
Do you know why?
Not everyone reacts
know
like
why?
Farrakhan,
Do you know why?
and he's an
Do you
extremist
want to
in
know
many
why?
ways.
Do you want to know
and
why?
you still defend.
But do you want to know why?
When it comes to
You
that
don't
point,
want to know why.
If it was like, if it was so common that the community at large reacted in such a violent way, there would be reason to think, my God, these people, like, look at the revolutions in the third world, where the whole world uprises because they've been oppressed. No doubt, yeah?
But what are you talking about? I don't understand
So when you're taking your historical context and you see that many people reacted in different ways. Some were for separationism, a minority, let's be honest, and many were for civil rights and political engagement, bettering the communities through education, etc. Now, I point out the extremist outcome of this, which in my opinion is Louis Farrakhan. We might not agree today on that, yeah? But it's fair to say that he is on the far right of black reaction to the issues.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So I just don't feel like anyone should be so easy to defend any sort of far right movement, black or otherwise.
Oh,
man.
yeah, I will defend them, of course, because it's not.
Oh, that's where we
I'll
disagree
explain
then,
why.
man.
It's not like for like. Black people. You're
saying you use terms like far right and stuff like that, which can't
These
really
terms
apply.
don't mean nothing.
It's a Pan-African issue. Far
Yeah,
right refers
yeah.
to Eurocentric ideas.
Would you agree that he was one of the most extreme offshoots of the civil rights era?
Okay.
I can't think of another one.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, yes, and that's a good thing.
And so
That's a
I
good thing.
personally don't see
And
how
that's a
that
good
helps
thing.
anyone,
Education,
bro.
don't stop
When the
the
mass
thing.
are trying to be politically active under the civil rights banner, this guy's talking about don't help. I don't know, man. There can't be a defense for these people, honestly. Like,
There's a
it's the
big
same as
difference.
rap, man. I
Let's
feel like-
not-
I feel
let's
like
not
certain
go
raps
to
are
that.
rap.
We're going to go that road.
It's just we're so happy to accept the bad elements of certain.
Okay, so
cultures.
do you know how it?
That's my.
Do you know how it is to be a black person in America at that time? No. So
Do you?
Well, I have a close.
Do you see what I'm saying, though? Like, you don't want to
I'm
be
not
that
understanding.
I'm
You're
about
not
to answer
understanding.
your question.
You don't want to play
You haven't let
that.
him- you haven't let him answer. You haven't let him answer.
You don't care.
Everyone
You have to let him
reacted
answer.
differently
Hold
to
on.
it.
You have to let him answer.
No, but
You have to let him answer.
I'm closer. But I'm close to understand it because of where I am today. Yeah?
Sure.
And because of that, I go, wow. If I'm going through this day, I can only imagine back then it was hell. Yeah.
Can only imagine.
Well, that's what
I
I'm
mean, there's
saying.
no point about doing these anecdotal like history.
It's necessary.
I wanted
It's
to
necessary.
ask you this question. This speech, can you give your opinion? The powerful Jews are my enemy. White folks are going down and Satan is going down. And Farrakhan, by God's grace, has pulled the cover off that satanic Jew. And I'm here to say your time is up and your world is through. Do you think that's racist or not?
I don't have the context of that.
So,
So, one.
do you want me to answer?
Oh, yeah. Like,
So, I don't know what that is, right?
that's a speech that was said
Okay.
by
You shouldn't be surprised.
Farrakhan.
Yeah. Now, what I would say for this is, he's talking about. He said the whites are going down.
Yes, he said
So-
he called the Jews satanic Jews.
So, as far as I'm aware, the Nation of Islam believe that white people in America were oppressing black people. That they were on top.
But they were.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that's what they believe. We don't know yet. So when he says they're going down, yeah, I think he might mean that. Now, I think he also believes that many Jewish people control media outlets, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's where that comes from. Now, whether I agree or not, that's irrelevant. What I'm saying is that's the context of that. Now, if he's wrong, he's wrong. But what I'm saying is, when you're a oppressed person, yeah,
you have more rights apparently.
That you're going to say these kind of words.
Well, I think that's a myth.
I mean, but the thing is,
if you're an oppressed person, you have more rights to say more.
It's not. No.
Insult people with less effect.
It's almost like this image of
Come on.
Listen. So one second. So let me have this discussion.
Do you see how you advocate for a society that bends towards your will and no other?
Hear this.
If
I punch you in your face, I expect you to scream out. I do.
That's got nothing to do with what I just said. Do you see how you're advocating for a political position that bends towards your will and gives you?
I think you're doing that.
How am I doing that?
Because you're arguing for the status quo. You're saying that black people shouldn't be doing all of this stuff. They should only use the tools democratically given to them, like Martin Luther King has.
I do, but that's
and
not the
therefore,
status quo.
one second, let me speak. And so therefore, unless they do it like this, they won't have your respect. So I would argue with you and say in South Africa, we have the African National
People
Congress.
became very politically
and
active
we
in South Africa.
We saw that Nelson Mandela was a terrorist, and he was all the worst things under the sun.
And then when he came
when
out,
he was fighting for black people.
Then when he came out,
when he was fighting for black people specifically. We know when he came out, he led the ANC, and we've seen the ANC today with Cyril Ramaphosa still leading it, and we see they're not doing anything for those black people that they were doing before he went to jail. So my point is that when he did take a stand of fighting for black people, the stance that we're taking, the stance that that Farrakhan takes or whatever, there's not a problem with that, even if that is a stance that says we might have to call some names. Because what we're trying to do is get a foot off of our neck. We're not trying to put our foot on somebody else's neck. We're not trying to oppress somebody else. We're not trying to control anyone else's system or their society. We're trying to lift ourselves up, and whilst lifting ourselves up, take this foot off of our neck at the same time. And what we're doing is trying to, and what those guys do, whether I believe it or not, they use the term the white devil because they believed that the white man was manipulating and controlling their world for the worse, making it a literal hell for people who are black. And so therefore, they came to define the people doing that as the white devil. Now I say yes, it's not helpful language, but is there context to this language? And that's what we should be looking at. And rather than saying it's a problem for black people to do it, like you're doing, because I would say again, if you're saying it's a problem for black people to do it, then you're arguing that black people should only use the tools that white people give them to use to free themselves.
Not at all, because my original point was me trying to base myself in political objectivism. And look, like I said, if you look at the 20th century, all the communities that became politically active, they bettered themselves in some way, bro. Separationism is the opposite of that. Yeah. Now, morally, I agree with you, bro. For Malcolm X and other people like that.
I don't see black people rich.
Yeah, but that's...
Was America not separated from Europe?
Hold on.
What did he mean by separation?
So your moral argument I'm with, bro. But I'm sorry, if we sat down and looked, the democratic national social movements created more objectively, on the ground, changed things. I don't see how Louis Farrakhan has changed much, to be honest, bro. Like,
Can we explain why?
Okay, but
you don't want to know.
No. Look, I was about to invite you to tell me.
Please do.
But this is my point. I'm willing to hear why. Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
And we'll probably agree.
I'll tell you
but
what.
my point is that tried and tested means have been within the political banner, whether it be for black people, Jews. Bro, the Jews lobby our government legally.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't argue with political involvement. When Sorrel was here, I was saying I am for voting on those things. I'm not for not engaging with the system.
Yeah, and so that's essentially how I'm coming at it. Not everyone had to react to bad circumstances in a violent, ruthless.
No one did.
No, but
there wasn't violence.
No one did.
No, everyone has to react.
There was rhetoric. There was no action.
Fine, man. Fine.
There's no
Yeah.
action. There's no
I
action.
personally.
Not violence anyway.
There's movement.
Was that violent?
So that's my point, basically.
Wait, one voice. What are you saying?
No, I won't distract us.
It's common sense, yeah, that if everyone in the community acted politically within local government or national government, change would happen, bro. I don't like. You would have to be a conspiracy theorist to say it wouldn't. And the only reason it doesn't is because people are scared away by politics. In fact, I'd argue that people like Louis Farrakhan have alienated a lot of black people from participating in civil politics. And I think that ain't good, bro.
Okay, now coming out. Right? Okay. So how do people move more faster, right? By controlling their own resources or working for other people who own the resources? How do people move faster, in your opinion?
I don't know, we could take some examples of minorities in maybe European states, American states, and look at how each of them eventually maybe started at the bottom of the ladder and then done certain things to maneuver in certain ways.
So they own their own resources, didn't they?
In some contexts,
If you're talking about, that's how a people progress. They own their own resources. So they own their own media company, they can hire their own, and they don't have to worry about being fired if they have a political affiliation to something that people don't agree with.
Okay.
Right? So what I'm saying is that's the power. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, but you don't see how that can come through political means. I mean, because that's clear, isn't it?
Well, that is a political means, isn't it? That is a political means.
That's the grassroots politics.
Yeah, which goes into local, goes into national. I mean,
so
the only way you could disagree with me is if you don't believe that the country is democratic. And then you'll have a real uphill battle. The truth is, if everyone engaged in civil politics at a grassroots level, like you said, and it trickled up to local, bro,
I think what Malcolm X does,
why should black people care? And the reason I say is, if you're in a country, right, that says you can't vote, if you marry a person that's not your race, you get arrested. You can't go on these kind of things. You can't drink from the small fan.
That was back then.
Yeah, but why should at a certain point they care about what the people who enforce that rule think? Why should it be? You know what?
Yeah,
we have to play their games. You know?
It's a very unfortunate circumstance that being oppressed will make you not care.
No.
The same
way.
That's
my point.
Isn't that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying why would you even want to engage in any kind of collaboration?
You become apathetic towards the political
when you've been like a fourth-class citizen for 100 years.
Sure. It's an unfortunate circumstance. It's the same reason Palestinians hate Jews. It's a terrible circumstance that have made them either become disillusioned. Interesting that he's done that. Okay. Well, look, I hear that. Once again, you're giving me the historical context.
That's
my point is, not everyone reacted like that. Some did get politically active, and this is my whole point. You're trying to defend the lack of political engagement because of this. I'm trying to say, bro, but you should advocate for political engagement because of this. Do you see what I'm saying? You've been oppressed. You have the right to vote now.
Today, we don't condemn Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. Today, we recognize this. Martin Luther King died for black people. So we cannot condemn it. We cannot cuss that. We cannot venerate that.
No one did. Although I did hear a few people sort of agree with Malcolm X's statements on him being.
Here's what it is, right?
I know about that.
Because black men, you don't undermine black.
We agree.
We agree.
Okay, good. That's what Malcolm X did. He looked at the civil rights movement as a failure, as a waste of time. So are we talking? So is it? Okay, no, but he did. Louis Farrakhan, come on, the Nation of Islam really did.
Your emphasis. Your emphasis. It's like this.
I'm just going to exactly what you said. We're not about putting down black betterment or development, yeah? But that's exactly what they did.
And I wish he didn't do that.
Enough said, and that's enough of a reason to criticise him. And that's what I'm inviting you to do.
But we've done that from day.
Bro, I personally believe, like with hip hop, not to make a parallel, that if more people were willing to criticise people like Louis Farrakhan, then other people would get more support of the community that aren't scared. Like Jesse Jackson could have been president in the 80s if Louis Farrakhan wasn't so powerful. Real talk.
What does that even mean?
A large amount of black voters were disillusioned with American politics, like you said, so they didn't vote for Jesse Jackson. He was a presidential candidate.
Jesse Jackson, I wished him well, but Jesse Jackson made changes.
Never.
Jesse Jackson made mistakes.
He was thing, but he wasn't. He'll never be there. He would never be there.
He was in a position to become the Democratic leader of the party. Yeah, he was. No, he was.
So Jesse Jackson
was about to respond to you.
He definitely was, man. In '84 and '88.
Darren,
He was in the prime.
Yeah. Jesse Jackson made comments that devastated his.
That didn't help as well.
No, that really didn't help.
Sure. But come on.
It's like today. Today Trump can say what he wants and get voted. Then days you couldn't.
You can't deny the divisive politics within the black community implanted from the very powerful 80s Nation of Islam and the very sort of politically correct, liberal, democratic Jesse Jackson. That's the truth. Divide and conquer, bro. And unfortunately, both are trying to do the betterment of the community, but one was just more extreme. And I'm taking the position to condemn the extreme element of it.
I understand what you're saying, but my position is, I think what happened with Jesse Jackson, whatever happened there, I won't talk about that. What happened is we eventually did get a black prime minister named Barack Obama. And I would say if the black community were a little bit more extreme, as you put it, and a little bit more lighting a fire under Obama, he might have done more for the black community and beyond than what he actually did.
Political
so
active,
therefore, that powerful lobby that you talk about in the 80s, that Jesse Jackson failed to pass, perhaps he failed to pass it because he wasn't good enough. And perhaps now black people have lowered our standard of what we expect from a leader.
That's a very interesting point.
And that's just
And that's why people like Farrakhan are necessary.
But lowering standards occurs. You know, you see it in a lot of ways in politics, and I agree. But
So
the
we need to
only,
light
but,
that fire.
but the
We need to
truth
keep that
is,
fire
yeah,
under our leaders, especially because Obama now is the first black president. He
100%.
represents us. No matter, you can't take the history away from him now.
No, you
and
can't.
what he done for 8 years was nothing. Was nothing for us. Do you know what I mean? And so I believe we needed more fire.
He did
underneath
a lot
him,
more.
like Farrakhan.
I think he did a lot. I think he has.
this is another divisive thing
I think
in
he
the
did.
black
I think he did a symbolic thing. I think he did. He
I'd
had
agree
a
with that.
symbolic victory, which was
See, like Malcolm X, there's a big power in symbology. Malcolm X is a powerful symbol, but if you look at the detailed statistics and facts, the civil rights movement done far more, and that was my original point.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
So
that's all
on
I was
this
trying to
point,
say.
I think
Louis Farrakhan just don't help.
Here's what it is, right?
In my opinion.
It's like this. It's like a compromised black person. Yes. So here's what it is, right? If you've been oppressed and you're not dedicated to actually get your people out of oppression, right? Then that's the issue. Now, what Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam did is they made people focus on self. They made them focus on bettering themselves, as in your own agenda first.
I hear that.
Yeah. Martin Luther King, he's a great guy, but that isn't necessarily what he was going for. He was going for everyone can benefit, everyone is equal, that kind of stuff, right? And that wasn't gonna help black people at that time.
It was going to help the white man.
Yeah.
But actually, his policies changed just before he was assassinated.
Of course.
Yeah.
He was then-
The fact he was assassinated says so much, doesn't it? Right. So this is what I'm trying to say. This is the thing. As black people, we know this. We understand when our best interest is at heart. Yeah. And for all people, when they do it, it seems normal. When black people do it, it's an issue. Yeah. That's for what I've seen.
Are you trying to accuse me of that?
No,
'Cause I don't like that.
No, I'm saying that before you made anything you
It
said.
don't matter. It's
you
about communities
Before you
that-
spoke, this reality was true. Before you spoke, this reality was true.
But I don't want you to insinuate that I'm
No.
doing that. Yeah, I'm not, bro. Any community with any sort of political ideology that is for its sort of collective identity always tends to defend
Let me speak more plainly.
the dread elements, the horrible elements.
Let me say more plainly,
And
right?
I just don't think that helps the community.
I'm going to speak more plainly now because sometimes
Am I missing
I'm
something?
going to be around the bush, right? No people have collected the hell that black people have collected, right? And if anyone has the right to focus on their own wounds and heal themselves, it's black people.
Yeah.
And that's just the bottom
Louis
line.
Farrakhan's doing that.
Well, he's an element of it.
Yeah, an extremist element, which I think we
necessary
should
element.
agree.
An element that came,
Oh,
an
man.
element that came from watching black people being slaughtered, killed, raped, and marginalized, and then he said horrible words that you don't like.
Necessary.
He said words that you don't like.
Necessary.
What do you mean?
He's a necessary element.
Very necessary.
That's where we're going.
Very
out.
necessary.
That's where you're putting yourself out.
Very necessary. Why was
on
it
a limb,
necessary?
I think,
because here's a
That's
person.
like an Israeli saying, "Oh,
It's nothing like that.
no,
That's
but
not.
it is,
That's
bro.
not.
Like,
It's not
I
like
just
that.
feel
Nothing
like
with Israel.
I just feel like,
different.
why is it a necessary element though?
Very necessary.
If you admit that separationism isn't a good policy, like why is he not? Why
In
is
that time, it was a good policy.
Why is it necessary?
Not necessarily talking about
time it
separationism.
He
We're
probably
talking
still
about
advocates
his
for it.
building of black
And now,
businesses.
okay, now then, let's talk about 2018. Is separationism a good policy? No, it isn't.
It could be.
Well, that's what we agreed to
No,
disagree.
Listen,
You
we're
have
not talking about
heard- you have heard-
separatism.
you have heard-
I
We're
personally
talking
view
about
that
building
as
for
a
black
very
people.
extreme
What's
perspective, bro.
So
We
what's
live in a
extreme?
country which is so
What's extreme
diverse,
about me
and you're talking
saying-
about we're going to separate?
What's extreme about me saying? Once again,
Hear what he's saying.
what's extreme
Sorry,
about me
go.
saying we're gonna build black businesses?
Because if it came from
within the
any,
community?
no, that's not separationism though.
I have an answer.
You can do that without separationism.
I have an answer.
So I'm with that.
But
I'm
okay,
with
but
that.
that's what a lot of
but
what
the
these
thing
things
is,
are
I've
about
got the-
doing.
I've got the answer for
Plus
answers.
separationism.
I've got the answer for
Buy
answers.
from your own, shop from your own.
Sure,
look after your own.
plus separationism.
What's separationism?
No, but
Separatism it means that Farrakhan saying I want a
Having
black
nothing
state
to
in
do with
America.
anyone else in the country.
That's what he said.
No. That doesn't work. It says,
I've never
it
said
says
that.
being-
I've never heard
having your
Farrakhan
own land, your own
X.
area where you control. Yeah? No, it's like this, right? Let me show
No,
you.
you're changing it now, bro.
That's what it is.
Did Malcolm
That's
X
what
say
it
The
is.
that?
Nation of
They
Islam,
wanted their own land.
They want their
people
own
like
land.
Malachi York.
Okay, that's something different.
That's
We're not here to defend
Offshoots,
that.
offshoots.
We won't defend him. I won't defend him.
Good.
I'm not going to defend him.
A lot of
I'm talking
offshoots.
about
look, man, Elijah Muhammad paved the way for these offshoots. I don't think it's irrelevant to mention them. Yeah,
you can mention
all
them
of
if you
them
want.
went off the separationist policy.
But you're saying
more
that
extreme.
we wouldn't condemn any extremists. I just said to you, I'm not going to roll with
Good.
York. I'm saying to you, what the Nation of Islam, or what I see from Malcolm X and Farrakhan, has just been about building up black people having their own resources.
Yeah, with that, but I made a point about the separationist policies.
I can answer that
in
very,
particular.
very well. Very well.
Yeah.
When you're on oppressed people,
I wouldn't like any other minority to
hold
say
on.
that. Personally, anyone.
Well, this hit the science and tell me if it makes sense. Yeah. Okay. When you have oppressed people who are at the bottom, right, and they go through pain, deaths, and all the rest of it, right? They want betterment, right? And they know they're not getting it, so they go, you know what? Wherever betterment comes, I'll take it. So if betterment is living in your own land, I'll take it. If betterment is living with these people, I'll take it, right?
And if betterment is becoming politically active, as a large amount did do in the civil rights movement, and that's my point. I have to keep coming back to it. You can tell me why people do things. Not everyone makes the right choices. I don't care about. I mean, personally, I don't care about oppression, bro. Like, no. In this context, it's not like it makes everyone irrational and everything that they do is suddenly forgivable. Bro, some people did the right thing for their communities and some people didn't.
Come go around the camera because he's complaining.
That's just the final point.
Still with Spielberg.
That's just the final point. I think it's logical to come to a conclusion, and we all agree on the context, but agree that some people did it better than others. Some people are not helpful.
Alright, so let me show you something, right? Let me show you something.
On a deep level, bro.
Let me show you something.
They plant seeds of doubt in the community to not be with everyone
I'm
else.
going to say your famous words. Historical context is important. So if you have a black person who's saying black people stick with black people to fix black people, and you have a black person go, black people, let's work for white people, this person
Did
will
Martin Luther King do that?
Well, that's what the outcome
No,
was.
come on, bro. Let's be genuine. Like,
Integration, that's what has happened.
Yeah, I mean,
black people working for white people
Of course.
was the civil rights movement.
Well, that was the outcome of
But
what
do
happened.
you see what
Why
I
did
mean?
he say?
This is-
Why has he said I've integrated my people to a burning building? Why would he say that? Was he just having a fun time?
Sure, but he never said that throughout his life.
Well,
Things
that's because he didn't
changed.
know. Because
Come
Malcolm
on.
X knew something he didn't know.
You actually dismissed the whole civil rights movement. That's what you just said.
I'm very proud.
As black people
Hold on,
working
hold on.
for white
I'm
people.
very proud.
Because I thought you said black.
I'm gonna answer
You
you.
don't believe that any
I'm
black
very
betterment
proud.
was the product of that.
No, I'm
Some
going to tell you.
black
You said you
I'm
don't
going to tell you.
undermine black
Here's my answer to your question. Here's my answer to your question. Yeah, I'm very proud that black people got together and got freedom for all minorities in America. That's a nice honourable thing.
Amazing.
But the sad thing is, black people are getting less from that freedom from all the other minorities. And that's most unfortunate.
And that's your proof to conclude that civil rights was working for white people.
No.
That's
When I
mad.
say working, I'm saying that you have a black person who says he wants to own his own industry and be able to hire his own people and not be fair that if you don't do this, you get fired. And you have one
but
person
you
who goes,
just said that the civil rights movement was black people helping white people.
no, I said the outcome of it, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're seeing now.
Yeah.
That's the outcome.
Okay, so you're saying that the civil rights movement didn't intend to do this. It was a byproduct for whatever reason. Maybe the movement.
It's just what it is.
Okay. Well, no. I have to clarify.
Yeah, I'm
this
not
point.
saying that, man.
Because initially you said the people who are oppressed, you can either have black betterment or this is us working for. Well, that wasn't what it was at the time.
Yeah, but
the civil rights movement wasn't that at the time. We might agree that it may have gone in that way.
That's where it's gone.
You're fine, but that wasn't what was offered. Don't try that, bro.
No, I'm not trying that.
It
But what
wasn't offered like
what I'm
that.
saying is, it's like this, right?
It was offered as political engagement
A
or
well-observing black
separationism.
person, knows that when you're in a system where the people, have hated you for so long,
I know.
and have always rejiggled racism,
Yes.
so they're on top. They know that. Listen, this is just a trick. This is just a new kind of trick.
Sure.
It's like you're not gonna own nothing. Yeah, they're gonna blow it down, and this is a new way.
Yeah, so that's not fact. That's just their perception from a history of oppression. Yeah,
And that's the
now,
reality.
because luckily the civil rights movement didn't think that, as I have to keep explaining.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm
But
saying?
but
Not
you're
everyone
saying-
thought like that.
For sure, but the outcome.
Like, bro, I feel like
outcome
I'm
of the
repeating
civil-
myself. We know the historical
We are.
context, but not everyone reacted in that apathetic, cynical manner.
No.
Okay, is that a question?
That's my whole
not the point
point.
he's making.
So,
That's not the point he's
what were they
making.
offered? They were offered. They weren't offered black betterment versus black people helping white people. They were offered political engagement or a more black-driven separationism.
Yeah, but I mean, the point that Raven's
I
making,
mean,
and we're
what it
supposed to back
became
up.
after, we can criticize. I'm with you.
Okay,
But that's not what was offered to people.
Yeah,
so
of course.
To try
but
to
what
use
Raven
the
is
historical
saying,
context
but what Raven
to
is
explain
saying,
why they don't want it.
But what Raven is saying, but what Raven,
Why?
one second, what Raven is saying, just let me listen. Yeah, what Raven is saying is, that maybe Malcolm X knew something that Martin Luther King didn't. That's the point that he made.
Possibly.
Martin Luther King was saying, at the end of his life, maybe I'll integrate them into a burning building. Malcolm X all throughout the time was saying, you're integrating people into a burning building.
I feel
And that's the position.
He cocked on the head. That's a checkmate.
I hear that.
Wasn't Martin Luther King funded by the whites?
Anyway, I just want to quickly say that we're going to be trying to do
I
a
don't
few
know
more
what
of
you
these
wanna
black
make of
corners.
that.
Yeah. So a few more black corners. Directly. A few more black corners. Like every week, catch me here, Ravens here. We're going to be discussing things about Pan-Africanism directly, about the black community. Also available on the Scatter Mind show.
I think about
Martin Luther King
YouTube,
funded
so
by the
check that
white
as well.
liberals.
Captain Scarlet, put me in on YouTube. Also, donate the content over everything. Get Leon this Bentley. I want to ride in the Bentley soon. So bless up, peace up, keep it black. And if you're black and you see this, come down to speakers and come talk to us. Come, let's build up a community together. Yes, bless. One.
Was it true or?
I don't know what you want to make of that.
No,
know what I'm saying?
you. Do you think it's right or wrong?
Black
It's not what I want to make of it. I'm asking you. What do you think of
I
it?
don't know. I don't really.
You're not sure?
I don't think that's still relevant, to be honest.
It's not relevant.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
See,
that
that's the
relevant.
problem. Malcolm X
Because you're trying to
found it
undermine.
relevant.
You're trying to.
For you, it's a debate between separatism and political engagement as defined by you. Which one is better? Is that the crux of this discussion? Is it better to separate or decide to engage politically as defined by you? Because you could argue separating is engaging politically. You could. Now you're saying that political engagement as defined by you, and I'll give you a chance to redefine that if you need, is better than separatism. Yeah? Can you give more examples of where this sort of political engagement has worked prior to, or better than separatism? Because I'm looking at many empires, the Holy Roman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire. I'm looking at so many empires. I'm looking at people, groups of people, nations of people separating because it wasn't working for them. Hence we have the world today of over 200 and something countries. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking separatism, in a sense, has worked for communities of people.
Yeah,
but I'm just asking.
Well,
and
I
want to do my answer.
The democratic political system doesn't work for everyone. They don't become involved.
Political system doesn't
straight
work for everyone.
up and down.
Okay.
So if you go back to some of the first freed blacks of the North who went into politics, they made. Bro,
Wait,
I'm sorry, bro.
Is a democratic system one which tells you that you don't have the right to vote? Are you part of that democratic system? Just a question. Because you say it's
am I part of it? Yes.
No, if you don't have the right to vote, are you
Bro,
part of
do you know, I see as a byproduct of all of this, it's a deep cynicism towards politics. I guess I don't blame you.
I'm not. Because I give up an impression that I'm a cynic.
I wanted to ask you a question. How can we achieve what you want in a system we don't control anyway?
What do I want?
If you want black people to be independent and separate...
I've never said anything about what I want.
He never said he wanted to separate.
I'm just asking.
He was talking about
the crux of the debate.
All right, then
it's either separate or
at the time he wanted separation.
Okay, so how can black people, if we achieve business ownership and independence, we're still going to be living in a system that we don't control anyway?
No, I'm talking about
But by then you have more power. By then you have more power and authority.
It would still give us, so we would still end up with more power even though we wouldn't be running the system.
Well, then the thing is, once you're in a more powerful position, you can actually make bigger decisions. So that bigger decision
through politics. I don't see a problem.
For example, you might have more influence.
He wanted black community, black money.
So you know what happened to Japan, right?
Community. Don't spend your money at white shops.
When Japan
got bombed.
You still pay the fucking tax.
Two atomic bombs.
No. Japan was in. Well, that's another thing. But Japan was in America. They were they got put in camps,
Concentration camps during the Second World War.
And then what happens as Japan became more technology based? They went to Reagan, I think it was, and said, "All right, we're only going to trade with you if you pay reparations to the people you mistreat in your country." Now, had Japan not been so technology based, so connected that way, they won't be able to make that demand. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened. We have nothing to offer.
But that success that you mentioned was initiated by Japan.
Yeah.
So for black people, the example for that would be like if Ghana said, listen, the way you treated Ghanaians in London is bad, now pay them reparations.
Exactly. But all the Afro-Caribbeans and Africans need to be on the same page.
You're talking about international state politics.
I want to hear this.
Who's going to represent you then? What country, what black country is going to come to your aid? They're not, man. That's why it's all about the country you live in, bro. I don't really believe. I believe ain't about where you're from, it's where you're at. Yeah? Well, you can affect the system you currently live in along with everyone else.
I agree.
So when we talk about, Japan, I mean, this is macro politics.
Right.
Let's take it back to the politics.
Well, I can explain to what we're talking about.
In terms of civil
you're
rights.
not in the loop at the moment, right? I can put you in the loop of what we're talking about. Yeah?
Did I get it wrong?
Well, no, you're wrong. But I'm saying right now you're speaking out of knowledge. So let me give you a little
Out of knowledge. I was
of what we're
thinking
saying
out of
here.
knowledge.
What we're saying here. What you're saying is correct, but it's not what we're talking about.
Sorry, have you moved on? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but we'll come back in 17 seconds. Yeah, but I'm saying here's what it is, right? If black people get their acts together and you start getting industries here, right, that means we have something to offer. So you can go to any West Indian country, any African country, and start even more industry. But if you ain't got nothing here, you have no bargaining chip.
So I understand what you're saying. Just to be sure, I understand. So we will have success financially, and then you will also get involved in politics, and then be able to make it.
Look, a homeless man on the street isn't gonna change nothing unless he becomes like a Jesus figure.
I see what
right? You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying we have
communities have to do for self.
Of course, I mean that's what I'm just saying.
Politically as well.
Yeah, what I'm saying is before you get there, you have to actually get your act together, innit? You have to. It's like Obama didn't do anything for the African American community because they never did nothing for him. That's what bottom line. The homosexual community did things for Obama. Yeah, so he did things back.
I don't really know enough about it.
Well, I do.
That could be.
No, that's the truth. If you want a political person to represent
I'm
you,
not
you gotta give
disagreeing
them money.
because I disagree. I disagree because I don't know.
Oh well, that's
You
fair
get any
enough.
politics is
Well, you can know if you Google it. So
Because,
I'm saying,
I mean,
What do you mean the black people didn't do anything for Obama?
so there was no pacts that was put together to push through Obama. There was no we're going to collectively come together as a black collective. We're going to give you this amount of money. There was a couple of rappers, but those rappers got things back.
No, to give him what?
Yeah. As in, so basically, how it works in America is communities, they want something, so they fund your campaign, right? And I'm going to fund your campaign, all right? But when you're in power, make sure you lean on this person. And that's what the gay community knows that from day. They go, they used to call it the pink pound, right? Here and the pink dollar, whatever it was, right? They'll come together, look, they've got issues we're dealing with.
So did Obama campaign on LGBTQ?
Yeah, he went to Kenya and said, you need to fix it. He went to another country and said, fix it.
Wait a minute. I said, you're talking about the end of his presidency. I said, did he campaign on it?
Yeah.
I don't think
he did more for homosexual community. And when I get to homosexual.
No, but you're saying that they paid in his campaign.
Yeah, they gave him surplus plaques and stuff. The homosexual community funded Obama. They were part of the. There were many groups who gave Obama money. So Obama wasn't using his own money. Trump, I think.
Of course, he wouldn't use his own money. Obama was a poor guy from Chicago.
So I'm saying
it cost $1 billion.
Yeah. So someone had to give to him, right?
I know he gave him his money.
You're saying you didn't get any money from black community? I mean, the NAACP, would you say that it's... Oh, yeah, I see. Bro, I don't know who to refer to because everyone's been tainted, according to you, or infiltrated, or somehow... What was that word? Compromised. Bro, it's like if I point to any black person within a legitimate democratic system, say about that.
No,
that's what it sounds like.
Any black person who's trying to do something, I support. Right?
Okay, so the black community, one of the most... I don't know now, but I know that historically throughout the 20th century, the NAACP has been one of the most powerful black organizations in America. Come on, they were for Obama, man. I mean, of course, I'm sure they funded him significantly.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
I'm just saying, but they don't represent black people.
How many of them are saying dedicate black economics? None. Because that word fit. If I took this brother here, let me and you have a business and hire black people and actually try to correct what was taken away, that should be that's something that is effective. If a person ain't saying that,
yeah.
I don't understand what they're
saying. Basically, we can't announce that publicly, but we'd have to do it subtly.
Yeah, but then that wouldn't be very democratic, would it?
Yeah. Well, no, because
I mean, you get voted on your platform.
You have to do things that benefit the group you represent. So black people have representation. They want to get things in power.
So what did the NAACP do? I mean, they didn't do this quite pan-African approach to economics.
I think they did education stuff, like they got people educated. And like I said, I can't condemn them. What I'm saying is there is certain things that I feel is much more effective. And it seems to me that the thing that's much more effective is always pushed under the rug.
What's funny is that the only reason that other things might be more effective is because there hasn't even been a large engagement of minority communities in the West. That's the only reason these mad alternatives are even considered better. Now, this is what it comes down to, I think. I'll try to end it on this. if the whole black community, and I'll spread this to any minority community, in droves became politically engaged in some sort of solidarity, whether it be on a regional or local, that would make change.
I agree.
Are you both in agreement with that?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what we should have agreed with in the first place.
Yeah, we agree. But the issue is, what are we politically agreeing on? So if someone's pushing forward like a kumbaya kind of political thing, then that's not going to be. Here's what it is. Anytime black people come together with any other people, black people seem to end up the worst. I don't know what it is, well, I do know what it is, but this is something that's consistent. So you need to have a technique or a way of doing that actually focuses on black. And this happens in England.
You don't got to do it then.
Well, that's why we're here.
That's
why we're here.
I'm 100% in agreement.
There you go. And that's the reality. And that's why when you talk about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, I'm saying I resonate more with Malcolm X because he put black people's issues first.
Resonate.
Yeah, first. I go, boom, that's what it is.
Sure. And like I said to the other guy who was here, so I made the point that morally, and I guess, what did you just say, the words you just said?
I said many words, sorry.
No, the one you just said.
Put black people's issues first.
You know, you said, what do you do? You support, not support.
I resonate more with
resonate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Of course.
Now you can. That's the thing. These figures do resonate. They're very, you know, they're large symbols. My point is that don't let the image of a symbol occlude the actual change that may have been done in their name. Because Martin Luther King, as a symbol as he is, he has felt like he has.
He's our hero.
Cool. It didn't sound like that.
He's our hero.
You can see how I think that it didn't sound like that.
As a black man, I can never condemn another black man who died for me.
100%.
I can do that.
And
so he's our hero. It's just at the time we resonate more with Malcolm X.
Yeah, and so that's my point. Yeah, I guess some figures who haven't really done that much, they might be great symbols for your personal betterment, but haven't really had that much objective change, like I'd say the Nation of Islam. I personally believe that.
I think they've done a wonderful job. Absolutely wonderful job.
Interesting.
Because the Nation of Islam, just by definition, is going to be hated by every single non-black community out there, right? Anytime black people become dedicated to black,
you can't blame them.
Well, hold on. It's
when a group is out there saying we, it don't really resonate with other people.
It's like this, and this is what I keep
how
telling
can you expect a
I told
non-black
you before,
person to
and I
rate
tell you
Nation
today,
of Islam? You know?
Black people,
that's why I think they're a bit
have a right,
extremist.
through the raping, the killing, and the robbing, have a right to put our own self-interest first.
Fine, but you can expect other people to not
and we
feel
don't.
it. Like, that's what it is.
Have you ever seen me
Any
complain?
white organisation, Jew organisation, Chinese organisation, they don't have my thoughts or my parents' thoughts.
Let me tell you something, right? I was speaking to a lady, right?
I don't really go with race-based politics personally.
You said you accepted it earlier. You said you accepted what it's doing for ourselves.
Yeah, for yourselves. But don't expect me to come through with you. It ain't got nothing to do with me or my mum.
Why was he asking you to help?
No. He said Nation of Islam a lot of people hated them. I said,
let me give you an example, right? Let me give you a nice example.
Black people.
Oh, Darren.
Fair enough.
Let me give you another example, right?
That's what
I was talking to an Asian lady, right?
Or
that's what they should be.
Okay, could be. Or you could be a figure who wants to help better everyone,
Come
including your own
on.
community. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact,
I think you need to do that.
Fine.
I think you need to sort your own house out first before you start messing about with them.
Sure.
My job is to train black people to ignore
sort
that.
your shoes out before you start walking around.
The community is only in the community's hands. I agree. But you can't.
Now, black people.
He's not saying never. I don't think he's saying never.
Do you see how? Do you see where I'm coming from, though? You can't expect someone to be, oh yeah, I'm with that, bro. Do your thing. No, you do your thing.
I'm about to give you a really nice answer. I'm going to give you a really nice answer. So I was on the phone to an East Asian lady, right? And then she said she's at the East Asian Sporting Appreciation Award, something like that, right? I said, what is that? She goes, well, basically, with people from East Asian descent, we try to support them when they do sports, right? A lot of them come 7th, 17th.
Yeah, I wouldn't be included.
And when they come 7th and 17th, yeah, they go, well done, because that's really good. Now, I'm like, I support that, right? And I understand it's the only Asian figures you're trying to bring people up in the sport area for Asians, isn't it? Can you imagine if I go, come on, man, why don't you give all the black people the medals because they're going first, second, and third? But I understand there's a purpose. They're trying to motivate the East Asian community to run faster, to jog longer, innit? So they're having awards that is dedicated for them. They're trying to boost their self-esteem and their skills. But I support them, not by trying to bowl guard in and go, come on, man, let's give Usain Bolt more medals. Come on, man, take it off the Asian person, throw it in the UK.
I support them as well.
So
you understand the difference is that an East Asian tennis club isn't the same as the Nation of Islam. You get me?
Well,
the East Asian tennis club doesn't talk badly about the other races in its goal of bettering themselves.
If the tennis club was massacred, raped and killed, they just might.
Let's look at how much worse the methods are.
Do you hear what you said? I'll join you in the
You can talk about it all you want, but I think he's talking
Damn
about
right, bro. Separationism
But
is never
if the tennis club was being killed, they just might.
It's about results.
Yeah. If I came in there and started raping and killing the tennis people, they just might say some harsh words.
But you guys do know that most black Americans don't even support and they're not even members of the Nation of Islam anyway.
Oh, sure.
So it's not like the Nation of Islam.
Or any one group, or anyone group.
That's our problem.
Because we're all disoriented.
That's the thing.
They're certainly a minority.
Yeah, and that's
Who's
why.
the minority?
Nation of Islam.
But the Nation of Islam support all other black movements.
All the black groups.
And they support the KKK.
Let's
Let's be honest. Tom Metzger, like this is on
That
paper,
was in
bro.
the 60s.
Like,
I don't know about that.
Louis Farrakhan had issued a public statement that he was in full agreement with Tom Metzger. So, bro, I mean, why? Like, I guess that's where I'm coming from. Yeah, I need to conclude my point because it's never going to end. I can't rate an organization that's in cahoots with the KKK. That's what it comes down to, man. Why would I rate that? That ain't gonna do nothing for me.
Is that what it comes
down to? You know,
to?
it might help. It might help white racists and black racists. It ain't gonna help anyone else. That's why I don't rate it. Enough
So
said,
you
man.
think the
That's
Nation
where
of
I'm
Islam is
coming
trying to
from.
help white races?
If they both agree with separationism, they both agree. No, but
When
with
they're trying to help
KKK,
white racism.
No, they weren't helping white races.
No, they weren't trying to.
Indirectly.
They just,
they
you
were.
see
what
they
I'm
just,
saying?
yeah,
Sorry,
exactly,
sorry, I don't need to
indirectly.
single you out every time.
They felt they had to get to where
You're one of the
that's
most
what happened,
eloquent
which I probably
and-
believe it did, yeah.
You're willing to pursue the
Sometimes
topic
people do
down
dumb
to
shit,
its
don't they?
base,
You know what I mean, to
and
try
that's
and
why I'm happy to talk. A lot of people would rather walk away from me, so I'm happy you took the time out to go all the way, and you lot who listened in there.
Yeah, no,
You
I
know, but
appreciate
that's
that.
where I'm coming from, bro. I personally see it as racist.
And this is and this is where we have to like for black people, we just don't see that. We see it as we are reacting to racism.
No, it's right, it is
But that's the thing,
racist,
I have to
it's
disagree
not
with that
racist,
again
it's not
because
racist.
a lot of black people don't feel that way.
You have a people who are reacting
Bro,
to
Nation of
racism.
Islam is a minority because most black people aren't racist.
Alright, it's discriminatory. I think
That's
is
my
what it
point,
is.
bro.
Without it better.
The only people that would be attracted to the Nation of Islam to become members are people who think white people are devils, bro.
It's like this, right?
Like,
That's not true. That's not true.
Oh, come on.
It's like this, yeah. It's like
You would join the Nation of Islam if you didn't.
I asked a question.
You wanted to get a job,
and
man.
and the question was,
Do you know what I'm saying? There are
outside of name calling,
People join
how
the
has the Nation of
military,
Islam
yeah.
oppressed
do
any
mad
non-black
things for
person?
money.
Exactly.
I asked
No
a
doubt.
question. Outside of name calling and harsh words, how has the Nation of Islam oppressed any other people?
I don't like the
Now,
question because
the
you
Ku
act
Klux
like name
Klan
calling
have
it bad.
raped, killed,
that's a good
and
question,
pillaged.
actually,
It's a
though.
very
Yeah,
good question.
it's a
It's
very
very
good
good
question.
question.
But he's telling me not to ignore the name calling, to ignore when Louis Farrakhan says white people are
What he's trying to tell
muted out of
Darren,
our
but
skin.
But it's not having any effect. Over that, it's not
But
having
you're
any
telling me to
effect.
ignore that. So when a white person, like when anyone says something fucked up to a large amount of their followers,
disagree.
I suppose
sorry,
that's what he's
bro, I
saying.
can't rate it.
If it's not having an impact outside of that community, apart from inside the community, and it's having a positive impact in the community, but like you just said, not having a negative impact outside the community, then what's the problem with that?
We broke this down.
What
earlier.
works like what, for example?
Like you might disagree with me, yeah, but Louis Farrakhan has clearly sowed the seeds in large amounts of the black community to be anti-Semitic.
No. So what?
You don't believe that?
But what's it done outside of the community?
Yes, you're friends.
He's not
Then I feel like you're just.
No, probably
you're a
is, but
victim
what's
of
it done
his PR.
outside the community?
No, but he's worked with,
Come on,
he's worked with Jewish groups.
Yeah, for a bit of PR. Bro, he got. You know why?
Look what you just said. For a bit of PR.
Oh, come on, come on.
He,
Yo, if he was.
I'm sorry, I've got to come in here because you've
I'm not going to get back onto the Jewish thing.
no, that's fair
But the
enough,
point
but-
is, yeah, is.
Sorry,
You're saying impact you're saying the black community. Who cares? Well, let's look at the negative impact they may have had in the
that's
black
what you're
community.
bothered about, innit? I thought that's what you're bothered about.
We can look at
Oh,
both.
you're bothered about
We can
black
look at
people
both.
thinking negatively about
get some racist spin.
because we'll do that anyway based on the history. Yeah,
I think
we'll
we
do
can.
that anyway.
I think we can look at both. You know.
But I
can
agree
tell
with
you a
if you
number
said
of-
there's better ways we could do
Look,
it.
man.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd agree with
I agree,
that.
100%.
If you said that, I would
100%.
agree
We'll
with
definitely
you.
agree on that.
Yeah.
It is a bit extreme, but as my man said, it's not doing anything negative outside of the black community. We're not going out lynching white people.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but
not
the thing
done
is,
that.
if you're willing to agree that it's certainly not the best way of doing things,
yeah,
and you do agree that it has influenced a section of the community, then in that in turn affects the larger community. Because if it makes a lot of black people not engage with normal politics, if it does make a lot of black people want to be separatists, if it does make a lot of black people become anti-Semites, that ain't gonna help no one.
Sorry.
And so that it might. I ain't gonna get into that.
So can I stop? Can I stop you
Let me
there?
just finish this.
Because you've made this comment twice now, and it is a bogus, fallacious comment. The people that you're referring to. The people that you're referring to, right, are not Semites at all. They're not Semites. They're not Semites at all. They're not. You're talking about the white Ashkenazi Europeans. You're talking about Yiddish, white Ashkenazi Europeans. Well, no, it's a culture. It's a sub-European culture.
You're talking about Ashkenazi Jews.
Ashkenazi Jews and a few Sephardic Jews. They're white Europeans. They've got nothing to do with the Middle East. Their descendants didn't set foot in the Middle East. They're not Semitic at all.
He's talking about harsh words towards those groups. That's what
but this is important. This is important because that group of people are using that phrase, right, to usurp themselves and insert themselves in a region that they don't belong in. They're white Europeans. They've never
I'm not going to talk about Zionism. That's a whole different topic, isn't it?
I hear you, brother, and we agree, but what we're saying that's not what he was saying. He's saying harsh words.
But anti-Semitism belies that because most Semites, the vast majority of Semites are Arabs. Okay, they're Arabs and Druze and
you are correct.
I'll never place them on the same.
You're right. You are right.
So it's going to be full. It's going to be picked up because otherwise, this false history.
I'm not doing that. Yeah. No, cut it short. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
He's talking about harsh words towards a people group.
Okay, but
that's what he just said.
But Judaism.
But
Judaism.
He's talking about the comment saying that Judaism is a gut religion.
He wants to
That's
say
what he's talking
Judaism.
Pull them down.
Judaism is an abhorrent. Judaism.
He's at the same time he's done groundwork with Jews as well.
That's like George Bush going to New Orleans when he delayed FEMA from helping for 6 days. I don't care. I'm going to judge you by your actions, all of them.
Yeah, his actions.
Judaism is...
Man, your words are your actions.
No, they're not. You can say something and do
Oh
something
man, don't
else.
act like words don't matter all of a sudden.
I'm not saying they don't matter.
He says words are actions.
Judaism.
I let him say his thing because he's starting to get so hard. It sounds like a...
Judaism is a fallacious, bogus religion. And not only is it fallacious and bogus, it spawned Christianity and Islam, which are in turn fallacious and bogus. You see where I'm
with that, but that's not
right.
Louis Farrakhan's point, because Louis Farrakhan isn't with
the point out. The problem with the Nation of Islam is that it's embraced, this another Middle Eastern cult, because it wants to get away from the Eurocentric Christian cult.
Let's take it somewhere else. Well, let's go with your narrative. What was good about the Nation of Islam?
What's good about the Nation
Was there anything good? Is there anything good about it?
Okay, if there is anything good about it, it does bring a kind of solidarity.
Here we go.
Right?
Here we go.
It kind of brings a kind of a home base of where people can feel a kind of sense of kinship, a sense of joint identity. I reject all the other nonsense.
I'll reply, yeah.
I reject all the other nonsense that it
what
sort
about
of embraces.
the group economics and that kind of stuff? Was that
Sorry?
good? The group economics, was that good?
agreeing with what you said.
Well, it's basic. Yeah, listen, if it inspires a thinking where it empowers self-empowerment and a self-reliance outside of the people that are oppressing you and and taking advantage of you, then I encourage that. But the essence of where they ground their thinking, right, in Islam is where they go completely wrong.
Well,
because Islam is no succor. It's no comfort for the West African.
What would you
or
have
Africans.
them do? What would you prefer them to have done?
I would prefer them to have embraced a kind of humanism, secularism. For me,
He's on my side.
for me, it's about science. It's about reality. It's about the kinship of your shared community.
What's your name? I didn't catch your name.
My name's Isaac.
Isaac. Now, Isaac, I resonate with what you're saying, right?
Yes.
But the one thing if you know, I resonate with what you're saying. But what I would say is, like I said, it's Daryl here, yeah? Darren, sorry, brother. Yeah, is historical context is important.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So you had a collective people who were all Christian.
Yes.
And you had a black collective who wanted to get them out of that and something else. And Islam was a tool they used.
I understand that.
A modified change thing.
But this is where the African American is kind of has been a kind of a slave, a victim of his own ignorance, because he thought by jumping from one sort of a Middle Eastern cult to another, right? Because it wasn't the mainstream, overt slave master religion. I'll choose something that's closer or an alternative to what is not as
like a reaction to oppression.
Still the same oppressors.
They just took ownership of it themselves.
Exactly.
And made something positive of it, which I think is the point.
Exactly.
I think that's the point.
But in essence, Christianity and Islam are not helping the African. I'm just telling you.
Destroy the Africans.
Yes.
But for me,
Judaism, Islam, and Christianity are very, very anti-African.
Exactly.
And are very anti-Semitic.
Exactly. I do agree. Exactly.
Even though the Jews claim to be Semitic.
They're not Semitic.
They're anti-Semitic.
They're not Semitic. They are not Semites. Those people are not Semites. They're European. They're Slav. They're Slav.
Let's get back to something. Let this guy reply.
They're Polish.
Culturally,
They're Polish. And Germans. They're Polish and Germans. They're not. They're not Semites.
Now let's go back. Let's get to something that we can actually eat, right?
Yes.
So, with me, one of the issues I think with black people collectively is we fight about religion and non-religious stuff like that,
Yes.
right? So, one thing that the Nation of Islam did that was really well is they wanted to unify black people for betterment. Yeah, regardless of what they were. Do you support this concept? So even though you are a Jew, you're atheist, you're a traditional, we come together because black people collectively have been oppressed in that land, and they want to actually have something.
Sorry, are you talking about the United States then?
That's what it was. Yeah,
Okay. I understand their motive, but when you look at the totality of the historical context, Islam is not any better.
But for me, bro,
the black family. I can understand that from an African American perspective, right? Because there weren't any other sort of binding alternatives, to commune around.
And that's the reality you have to deal with.
Yeah. I understand that, but the legacy of the Nation of Islam is that they've created this sort of pseudo cult type nonsense, and
now bring it back to economics.
I'll respond.
And
I got it.
And I completely embrace, the black empowerment. Although for me, it's more a consciousness. Actually, you got to go beyond the colour. Got to get beyond that.
Now here's the issue, brother. Here's what it is, right?
Yes.
It's like I agree with what you're saying. So in a perfect world, everyone is nice, everyone's equal, right?
Yes.
But black people don't live in a perfect world.
No, of course not.
And in that world, black people seem to always be at the bottom.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
for me, I think what we do is we argue about religion, Islam, but it boils down to this. We're both black. We're going through hell.
Yes.
Let's come together to fix that hell. That's
right. Yes.
So and that's why I will stand with any Nation of Islam brother, any Hebrew Israelite brother, any kind of brother, because what they do, if they agree with this concept, innit? That we're catching hell, let's try to fix our reality.
The problem is those concepts are false. They're not. They're built on mythology. They're built on mythology, and they're not historical. And they're kind of it's a kind of pseudo history that they've created.
Let me take this.
Right?
Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Right? Me and this brother here, we're talking. Yeah. This man honestly believes that turtles can talk. Yeah, he believes turtles can talk and turtles fornicate with dogs. Yeah, I'm saying this, but not this way. Yeah. So he believes they talk and they fornicate with dogs.
What do you mean talk?
Talking turtles. This man believes that. I'm saying, yeah, he believes that. Right. But despite him believing that, yeah, he's about us come together, building economics, building self-esteem, doing for self. It doesn't matter that he believes in talking turtles.
But now, let's concentrate on that and then deal with this.
Because people are the best at being confused. It's so good. So, what, you're Islamic? Whoa, I want to fight you. But it's like, come on, we're catching hell. Let's put that to the side. And who said that? The Nation of Islam said that. Look, you don't, if you're Christian, if you're atheist, whatever, let's just come together. Don't worry about the whole, you know, the historical religious stuff.
The problem with that though, there's a hell of a lot of white people and others that are just as righteous and fighting for the cause. In fact, there's a hell of a lot of them that have given their lives, actually sacrificed their lives in the cause to equalise the African. Do you understand that?
What value is this?
Listen.
What value is this? What value?
Well, the value is you're losing a hell of a lot of brotherhood and kinship with others outside of the African circle that help and push the cause forward.
So let's say this. Never thought that. The Nation of Islam, they are friends with the Nation of Islam are friends with non-black people, like whites, Asians, so forth, right?
To help separate.
Yeah, but when it comes to
but they're separatists. I'm not interested in separating. I like other cultures.
No, bro, they work with the KKK.
I like other races, right? But what I won't tolerate is other cultures and races taking advantage.
Now here's what it is, right? I think black people are collectively lost.
Yes,
right?
you're right.
And I need to establish if we are collectively lost. So it's like this, right? As an individual, what do you do that is dedicated to helping black people personally?
What do I do?
Yes.
There are various sort of secular, I would say, I wouldn't necessarily say atheist, but sort of scientific and secular charities that I give to in Africa, right? Promoting science, promoting science, promoting free thinking, promoting secularism, right? There are a group of guys that I mentor with martial arts group that I teach.
Is that dedicated for black? Because does everyone come along and they're black?
Well, the guys that I'm there's an Asian guy in there actually.
Okay, so
right?
Bring it back.
But
brother,
he's going to get to a point.
Here's what it is. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yes. We're very quick to condemn other people and say, oh, I'm for everyone. But this is the issue. Yes. When we actually go down to each black person, they're not doing anything that's dedicated to black people, right? And that's why we're in the condition we are. All we're doing is we come together and we're condemning black people, going, shame on you. No. We should love everyone. And it's like, that's got nothing to do with them.
I've said specifically that, I give to two charities, and they're all out in Africa. One's in Uganda.
Brother,
it's getting a bit personal. I think we should focus on individuals.
Okay, with black people, I want us to focus on personal because it's personal that makes a change. And let's make that clear, right?
So, sure.
That's for me. For me, because I actually want to see black people do better. I generally do. Yeah. That's why, and I love the points you raised, isn't it? Yeah. But it's my duty to talk to black people when they talk and go, brother, what are you doing for black people? And the reason I have to say it is because we're very good at judging other people who are dedicated to help black people, but we don't want to actually do a better version of what they're doing.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But the fatal flaw with the Nation of Islam is that just by that very name, that exposes the flaw in the organisation.
I understand your point, but like I said, even if it was the Nation of the Turtles, I would still support them if they stay, because for me, no disrespect, Isaac, brother, yes? But they're more valuable to me than you at the moment, because if I ask them what they're doing for black people, there is no in an They'll go in. They'll go, I'm like, whoa, let me write that down. With you, it's like, well, I've got this karate thing. There's an Asian man, but he kind of can be black if you think about it.
I see how you neatly ignored all the charities that I'm giving
brother,
to,
this is
and all the work, all the secular work that
you're a
that
good man. I'm calling you a good man.
Yes.
Criticizing and empowering an Asian person in the
Hold on,
martial
family.
arts class. It has to be all black.
No, I have a point.
I'm going to go.
The
with
question
Nation
was
of Islam
asked,
over
what
you.
do you do that is dedicated to black people? And you said you run a karate class, and it just so happened that 2 were black and 1 was Asian.
And I'm involved in a secular
This is getting too personal.
Well, then
science.
this is not for you if you're
not
getting
you know,
personal. What I'm saying is,
in a secular.
it's just not getting to the point. It's just not getting to the point. Part 2 is you are a good man, and I support what you've done.
Yes.
But what I try to train black people is charity, right?
Yeah.
But it isn't betterment. Yeah, is that you know the whole thing about give a man a fish
It is actually.
or give a man a potato maybe?
No,
and then teach him how to grow
it is
potatoes?
because in Africa it's rare. It's rare to find, people that think in a rational, scientific, non-religious way. That is what I'm promoting. That's what I'm involved in.
Because we need
to
exclusive to Africa.
Good point. No, it's not.
Of course, so you send it to Canada, you send it to Peru.
No. I'm sorry, but it's a massive issue. It's a massive issue in Africa.
I agree.
Massive.
I agree.
Yeah, the whole continent is consumed
Using logic
with superstition, religion. The two
blanket statement there.
The whole continent is consumed with superstition and religion.
That's the world, though, isn't it?
Especially Islam and Christianity.
That's the world.
That's pervasive right across the continent.
The world,
and we've got to get rid of it. I'm engaged in trying to get rid of that.
What? The thing is, if you think that's right, I can't disagree. What I can say is there are things that, and I agree. If you want to make black people be able to process information correctly and use logic, and actually not just be following blind faith in all areas of activity, I support you in it. But the question still remains, right? That if you're not dedicated to, as in you confess to yourself, I want to do good for black people. Then you will find yourself not doing good for black people. This is a fact. If you do not confess that, then you will not achieve that. That's why I confess it. That's why when I ask it, but in another respect, that's why every other black person is ums and ahs. And then what happens is start talking about like other things like, well, I really love other people, I want to marry other people. I'm like, okay, but that's got nothing to do with black betterment.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, the reason why I respect Nation of Islam 120% with a 20% error margin, right, is because they are dedicated to helping black people. And that's a high five and then another high five.
But you see, but when you're living
that's
in
2 high fives.
But they're living in a fascist society, and the United States is a fascist society. It's the most dangerous country on this planet.
Maybe.
And the most racist, ingrained, racist Western country at the moment. And so they're up against a different agenda.
Of course.
And they've got, obviously, these are people that have come from, literally, they were slaves. They were. We and my parents and my grandparents, we didn't experience it. These people actually were, bonded.
We know this.
For generations.
And that's why.
And so you're dealing with another level of survival and existence in America, and they've had to literally carve out their own niche in society to survive. I mean, to be honest, the African American has got to be praised to get where they've got to produce what they do. To elevate themselves to where they are is actually sort of it's almost
the whole diaspora has to be praised.
Well, especially African Americans coming from where they are, but
because the Jamaican slave masters got even more help. What they were doing. So I praise the whole diaspora. Right? I even praise Africa for the stuff they got from currently. It's like, so what I'm saying is I'm trying to unify everyone for a collective betterment. And that's why I say I'm not going to speak negative. And I think the Nation of Islam are going to be a very good help.
No, because if you're talking about collectively making people one or introducing solidarity, I mean, the Nation of Islam is the last group you would consider.
That's the first group I would consider. The very first.
Sure, but
They muddied the waters with Islam.
You know,
that's the
earlier,
problem.
he said,
They muddied the water with Islam.
Yeah, but
that's the problem.
And the only black thing you're saying. And the only black thing you're saying as well.
All I'm saying here is that
it was some of that.
the Nation of
He's saying
Islam
that was an issue as well.
publicly
In fact, let him say what he's saying. That sounded like that was one of
disagreed
your problems as well.
with the largest black movement
Multiculturalism.
in the
Not for
country.
me.
The lack of it.
Now, solidarity and community,
Absolutely.
bro,
Absolutely.
I reckon
that is an issue.
That's his issue as well.
You get me?
That's his issue as well.
Well, when the Nation of Islam institutionally was against the largest black movement in America at the time,
And that is-
including Malcolm X, spoke against the civil rights movement and any black people in it.
Yeah.
How is that solidarity?
context
How is
of
that
history-
community? How is that making people come together? It's
be
not.
fair, to be
It's
fair,
divisive.
Malcolm X left that ideology towards the end of his life.
Okay, now let me just tell you.
And he said
No,
any
no,
white
no.
people that
Hold
want to
on,
help, he
bro.
said
No. Don't forget that doesn't change what happened. The vast majority of Malcolm X's public life was that. His last 4 months of his life, he was a Muslim. So it doesn't matter what he did in the last 4 months. For all of his life, bro, he was extremely critical of other black movements.
But I think he judged him by the legacy, though, at the end of the day. His legacy was to bring people
But that
in
is his
towards the end of
legacy.
towards the
For
end
more
of his
than
life.
10 years he was doing this.
But at the end of the day, he went against the very movement that made him anyway.
His legacy is more than.
And he died for that, and he died for that.
Okay.
So why are you going to say
Yeah,
things
well,
like...
maybe they're wrong.
You're right.
Maybe they're wrong because the majority of his life was one of criticizing large parts of
Like
the
you
black
said, his
community.
legacy is the positive side.
Yeah, he left Nation
Maybe-
Islam.
maybe we need to
became
look
a
at both.
Muslim
You're gonna use the
and
word
said-
legacy.
And said people
Sure,
can, and
But
said anyone can join.
other than that, I agree with you.
But legacies are democratic.
Most of
And
his
if I
work-
can introduce knowledge to make people think, wow, this guy was actually against some of the best elements of the black
When you're
movement in
arguing about
America.
something which is past, you do know that Malcolm X and Martin Luther King made their peace.
That's what I'm trying to say,
Sure.
man. He left
Sure,
that.
sure,
Why
sure.
are you
Talking
blaming him for
about
that?
his water under the bridge.
No, but sorry, you can.
Let me ask you this, fair. He realised his error.
Dad, no, I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm trying to point out how he was divisive.
No, but
how
he-
the Nation of Islam was divisive. I'm responding directly to what he said. He said
Yeah, he's
the
trying
Nation of
to
Islam
keep
is good
keeping
for
it up.
solidarity or community. I just don't see it.
That's poison.
Enough said.
Because they had speeches where he says whether you're Christian, atheist, or whatever,
Yeah.
let's come together
his
for the
last
betterment
4
of black
months, I
people.
think.
No, he said that when he was.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
No, he didn't.
Brother, give me your number and I will give you the YouTube videos of him saying it. That's it. And that was the end of that. That's the end of that, right? All right.
Sure.
So anyway, the more of the story is, brother, right? For me, I don't want to be consumed with Islam, Christianity, atheism, traditional stuff. I'm saying if you understand that black people historically and today are catching hell, then it's necessary to come together, right?
Come
And that's why
together, not divide.
Yes, and that's
That's
why
it.
I say, and forgive me, when you say, oh, there's good white people, but we know there's good white people, right? But one of the issues is-
But there's not. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of
let me
them.
finish. You're right, and there's wonderful white people there, amazing. Yeah. What I'm saying is this, right? One of the issues with black people is we have been psychologically trained to be subservient.
Yes.
So instead of us seeing the value of coming together and talking about our own needs, we go, hold on a minute, I've got this beautiful white woman here, she can really help us. I've got this Asian karate kickboxer, he's amazing, he can kick everyone. I'm like, oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's good. And I think that's a psychological issue, right?
Yeah,
So
You don't
No,
like
well,
you wouldn't accept help.
Okay, yeah, no.
Before you know
look,
the
look at my answer. Look at my answer. The help is to leave us alone. It's the best help you can do.
No.
And the Nation of Islam has a member here in disguise. I didn't even know. You were actually a separationist. You didn't say that earlier.
I'm just about to give you the reality that you don't know. Yeah, so let's see if you can.
So they would help you by leaving you alone.
Here's what it is, right? It's when the people have been so oppressed and so undertrained, there is a value in self-esteem building to actually do for yourself, meaning that, wow, we learned how to read this book, we learned how to build this car, we learned how to do this, and because of it, we have a group self-esteem. So if we could do that, that you are doing us a favor by leaving us to do that, because then we have that camaraderie where we learned it, right? Yeah. This is valuable. This is where the most oppressed people are looking within for the solutions. Now we are grateful that there are non-black people who want to come and do it for us. But the issue is, if we sit back, we'll just be sitting back.
Yeah, no, but
100%.
I think you're being a little bit simplistic there, but and also
I would say complex,
But
but go ahead.
but I think that for me, I kind of agree with you in a way, but I agree with you on a macro level. Right. For me, it's about sort of severing this rope that Europeans have got around Africa, right? And this perpetual exploitation of resources, of manpower of the whole continent, basically.
Okay, yeah.
And for me, you know, I want to see a wholesale change in establishing a new fiscal system, a new financial system, right? A completely new economics that is not based on a sort of Anglo-German, you know, sort of structure, right?
Economic system.
Right. Anglo-German sort of structure, but where I don't agree with you is that we should do it all ourselves. I mean, there's the Chinese that are coming in. I'm very grateful for the Chinese.
The Chinese are doing the Chinese.
No. I'm sorry. The Chinese are integral in that transition.
No, brother, I'm talking about a step-by-step process. Because how do you know the
because they provided.
I'm not going to say no.
And facilitated.
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm saying here's what it is: the Chinese people have infrastructure where we can actually pay them to make roads. Yeah.
Yes.
I want it to be an option where we have the ability to make roads and pay to ourselves.
Yes.
Do what the Chinese did. Yeah. So now the Chinese can pay Africans to make roads. So the Africans can pay Chinese to make roads.
Yes.
I don't know that the Africans just can't make roads. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, I do.
That's what it is. So once again, I want you, brother, to look within now. Because every time I talk about black people, you talk to someone else.
Yes.
I know you can do it. So now, let's build that road ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
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 And what I'm saying is,
but you've
let
got
the Chinese clap from the side of the road.
No.
Let them clap from the side of the road.
But what you got to know how this system works. You know, the African is completely chained and subservient still economically.
Yeah,
because they are enmeshed. They're enmeshed in this system.
Good. That's why today here we as black people come together, and the power we come here, we can bring here, we can actually go and have better influence.
Yeah.
Right. If me, you ain't, if unite. If every time I talk to you, talking about a European, then there's a bit of issue, right? I'm hyperbole.
Yes.
Hyperbole. You weren't doing that. You were talking about karate and stuff. What I'm saying is, if every time I talk to this brother, he's going off in the tangent, right? And we can't actually come together. You're talking about Islam this or this that. I'm like saying, bruv, we all got the same issues going on. Let's come together. Let's create ideas. Not to do with religion, not to do with anything like that, but ideas that, you know what, black betterment. Meaning that because we've been beat up so badly and mistreated by every single people group under the sun.
Yes.
Yeah? Let's come together to make
Well,
sure.
not every single people under the sun. I mean, the Chinese haven't. The Asians, well.
Okay, so
most Asian cultures haven't. Some Asian cultures have. Some Asian cultures have.
I'm not going to point no fingers, but I'm going to say this, right?
Yeah, let's not do that. Yeah.
There's governments that invade lands, which is one problem, but there's always the attitudes of people groups. Now, I can't go around and condemn individuals, but I have seen that, for example, in America, I understand that the North Korean, like I think Chris Rock covered it, where they're very tight on the African hair business, where they will sell you hair, but they won't allow you to actually come in the business to actually trade yourself. Yeah. Now, this is because they're putting North Koreans first. I also know that in America, when that lady was shot in the back of the head, all the Asians came to support that. I think Tupac rapped about it, do you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Well, the little girl, she got shot in a North Korean shop. I'm saying North Korean bad. South Korea, sorry about that, yeah? Now, I'm not saying that all South Koreans are trying to shoot black children in the head, but I'm saying you see the support. It happened with the Asians, of the Chinese, where there was that Chinese cop in America who shot, and I think it ricocheted off and he killed someone. The first thing he did was ring his agent and to get defense, not to ring up the ambulance. And the guy died. What happened? The Chinese community came out in the truck roads to say, if white people don't get killed for killing black people, why should Chinese? Now what I'm saying is, this is a consistent thing I see. Now I'm not saying all Asian people do that, but I'm saying we don't need to focus on the ones who do, the ones who don't. Focus on ourselves. You know, that white guy here's good, that Chuck guy here's good. That's the way it's energy, bro. I'm saying, bro, let's come together in it. Yeah. Now here's what it is, right? I've got a philosophy. It's called Black Betterment Building, right? Now the problem is, black people are so divided that if I come and say black only, I will scare you. So I say it's like this. You split black betterment into activities. So it's like this. If you're not going to marry a black woman, that means in the activity of marriage, you're not practicing it, but you might practice it in hiring someone. If you're going to hire a black person, then you can practice it in the teaching area. And I'm saying black people have one area of activity that you dedicate to black people. Just one, please. That's what I'm trying to push. Yes. It would be good if there was many, but it's almost impossible to tell a black person to marry a black person. It's almost impossible for a black person to hire a black person. It's impossible for a black person to teach a black person because we're so conditioned to talk about other people.
Yes.
So that's the philosophy I bring.
Yes.
Now, if we accept this philosophy, we might be able to progress.
Yes.
And this is free from religion, free from science, free from anything like that.
No, not science.
What, okay, no,
I mean, come on.
We need technology.
When I say science,
we desperately need to embrace that.
Evidence-based science, right?
We desperately need to,
But what I'm saying
embrace
is,
that.
you know, anytime we have an argument about stuff, unless we're doing science in a lesson, we don't need to argue about is the Big Bang and this kind of stuff. Whether should not. There's a certain point where that's not necessary because we're being beaten down. Yeah, I mean, I support natural science.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's very necessary.
Yes, it's essential.
What I'm saying is, black people
It's a path to psychological freedom.
Okay, yeah, I'm not
But
going to
you have to
disagree.
take the good from everything.
Yeah.
You can't just push your own thing forward. There's benefits from every type of system and subculture. That you can take the fruits and leave the thorns. And as long as it betters the black people.
What I find here is you get gentlemen like Darren, good man, but just like ever non-black people, they're always going to say, oh, we want to come in, but they really don't. Not like, do you really want to go to China and build up China? No. It's like, you know what I mean? You hear?
You're right.
Yeah. So I'm saying is, it's black people. There's this special place in all people's hearts where when they hear black people talk about betterment, they want to jump in. I've seen it throughout my life. Yeah, that's one. And there's a special place in black people's heart that when there's a black person talk about betterment, they want to talk about other people. And then when you break down each black person's life, I know why, because they're culturally. I don't know what the correct word is to use, but they're culturally. Discombobulated. They're culturally discombobulated because they're so integrated in
Culturally assimilated.
Yeah.
So
It's like, this concept of actually helping black. Oh my God, how can I help a black person? Oh, and they have a heart attack. And I go, oh man, you know what I mean?
You know, that wouldn't be an issue for me. I love black women. I love women.
But what I'm saying, bro, we don't need to talk about loving women. If you say you love black women, you could put a full stop there, innit? You could have done that. You went too far. Like,
I know,
we admit as men.
but I've got to be honest. You know, I like.
And this is the issue.
It's like having a packet of Skittles.
Where we going now?
M&M's, you got different colours, I get it.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah, but
No. Well, the fruit pastels. Yeah. And say, well, I only like the black fruit pastel.
Brother, let me give you the knowledge, right? As a man, you're gonna find women sexy. I agree, right?
Yes.
But lust isn't structure. Yeah, I'm talking about structure. I'm talking about black women that go through hell. They're not represented correctly in the mainstream, so a lot of them have self issues about maybe their own kind of skin, their own kind of hair. It's my job as a black man to reassure them. So I don't need to go, man, all women are beautiful. We know that. I'm saying I'm going to focus to uplift you because I understand you've catch a special kind of hell that I can resonate with.
Yes.
So I don't need to talk about fruit pastels and M&M's and stuff. I can literally say the black woman is beautiful. You know what I'm trying to say, bro? Yeah. I know if the women come to you in a truckload, you're gonna be thrown. You go, oh, I get you're a man, isn't it? I'm saying we don't need to go out there. We can just focus on making sure black women have a good self-esteem.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying, isn't it?
But the thing is, you've got to remember where you are. We're in the UK.
Exactly.
We're in Europe.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank
We're
you.
in Europe.
Thank you.
And
that's why we must be more dedicated.
All the more reason.
You take the words out of my mouth.
And so, you know, you can't expect any favours here.
From who?
From the indigenous population.
Okay, brother, I'm going to give you one jewel. I'm talking about black people, not non-black people.
Right.
So I don't want to see. We don't talk about any favours, no handouts.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
About, let's train ourselves.
Exactly.
But when I finish with you, you ain't even going to be processing that information. You'll be like, brother, what can I do? I met some brother over there. He tells me he uses a software called After Effects, right? So I find out, so he's a motion designer. I'm like, give me a number, let me see if I can get you work, innit? Yeah? That's just how it works. Literally, yeah? Boom. No nonsense.
Black man's life improved today.
That's it. That's it. And that's it. And I meet you, bruv. You tell me to do karate. Well, bruv, if you do karate, I've got a health group. Yeah. I'll take your number.
It's not karate. It's Thai. Thai boxing.
Okay, Thai boxing. Okay. Which is good.
Yes.
And hopefully you'll learn capoeira one day. But what I'm saying is, I'll take your number, brother. I'll put you in a health group, and you can promote your business. And hopefully you'll have more than one Asian in there. You have a whole lot of black people all kicking everyone. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm talking about, bro.
I can imagine that you would get a class of people interested.
Bro, I'm telling you, bro. I've got 200 people who actually want to know how to defend themselves. Yeah. I'm saying, and I push them. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we should do. When we come here, let's get an African corner, a black corner, and talk about solutions, innit? Yeah. And it's black focus. Yeah. That's it, bro. If we do that, we're laughing. What's up, family? You good? Yeah. And that's my goal. But the first start is trying to train black people to stop thinking outside of yourself for a solution.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But
I know it's hard. I know it's hard.
I'll just because I've got to go in a minute.
I know.
But that's not going to affect me or stop me from embracing every other culture.
Brother,
that's
brother,
kind of where my head's at.
If you want to go to an Indian restaurant and
Yes.
order an Indian curry, do that.
Yes.
If you
Italian
wanna,
friends.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. If you wanna play a piano with a Scottish man, do that. I'm saying, dedicate time to help black people.
Yeah, I do. I do.
That's
I think I do. I think I promote.
And next time I ask you, there'll
think-
be no delay. It'll be like, what do you do? I run a people group. Basically, I write books that's dedicated. I make sure that black women have all the best hair products they need, and it's dedicated for their hair because I understand we need that. And you just constantly have to
you know,
stop
I focus on promoting free thinking
Which is good.
and secular, scientific based, reasoning.
So maybe you could actually have a black school or a black African school where you do this.
Well, that's what I'm promoting back in Uganda and Nigeria.
Is that where your family's from?
Nigeria.
Okay, there you go.
And Uganda and a place in Cameroon. With another place in Ghana, setting up sort of scientific based, promoting secular thinking type institutions.
Let me give you the jewel, right? Yeah. There was an individual here who was non-black,
Yes.
and he was saying what he was saying. But the value from here is he's gone now,
Yes.
and we're here, and
Yes.
we can talk, innit?
Yes.
And he's not emotionally connected to this concept, because what you're saying,
Yes.
I resonate with it,
Yes.
and I would
Yes.
like to support you.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's a genuine thing.
Yes, yes.
It's not like for show, like, what you saying? You said the word black? Let's talk about the ins and outs. No, it's like, I want
Yes.
black people to improve, and we can do it now on the grassroots, from now. That's what it is, bro. Again.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Cool. Yeah.
Isaac, right? I'm gonna go
Yeah. And we definitely need to do it. We need
Yeah,
to find
bro, I'm cool.
alternatives.
Like you
Give
said,
me your
Black
number.
Corner, we're here every
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah,
Take
give
his
me your
number,
number.
Black
Yes.
Betterment Group.
You're on WhatsApp, right? You're on WhatsApp.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad, man.
Yeah, don't say it loud.
They don't say that out loud, yeah.
Just,
to call you. Raven fans will be on.
it's a new film, bro. I have to witness it. Let's put your number in there.
And you want to mention the end of the month thing as well for those who don't know.
G-Circle every month.
End of the month is only
Anything that's going on.
Yeah.
G-Circle every end of the month. Should be.
Them man are out, actually riding out properly, so
Yeah.
because they go to the areas and thing, sometimes they're busy, you know what I mean? You always have to support the brothers.
Definitely.
But we want to get like an Afro corner here, where every time we come down, there's a space dedicated for brothers to talk about black issues and Afro issues, where we can actually get everyone on the same code, isn't it? Everyone on the same ground, like, being dedicated to having black people, collective, locally then globally, yeah? That's what it's about, yeah? And that's why I'm going to stay in the square, yeah?
What's your name?
Raven.
Raven.
Yeah, did you save it?
No, hold on.
I'll ring, yeah, Joe. I got a new phone in this. I don't know, it's all alien science to this moment. Yeah, so that's what we're about, bro. And that's why this brother is doing good work, brothers here doing good work. And anytime a black person says they want to be dedicated to black people, I'm there, straight up. I'll be there.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, right question. We're done, bro. I'm good, bro.
Yeah, we're done. That's
Yeah.
it. Black Corner. Make sure you check out the Black Corner. Content over everything. That's it. Bless up, yeah. Take it easy, man. Good work, man. Take it easy, man. Love, man.
Content over everything. From your
God, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen.
Alright, cool, let's get it. So, is it on? Yeah. Right, so I'm asking a question. I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube about the Illuminati quite recently, and especially symbolism in music and stuff like that. And I've noticed you today you've got a triangle, and I believe that is the Iron Wars, and a cross, and what looks like a keyhole across. I don't even know what this one is. What is